Strengthening Faith 1. In a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 2317, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that a Muslim cannot make their Islam excellent until they avoid the things which do not concern them. This narration contains an all-encompassing advice which should be applied to every aspect of one's life. It includes a person's speech as well as their other physical actions. It means that a Muslim who desires to perfect their faith must avoid those things, through speech and actions, which do not concern them. And instead they must occupy themselves with those things that do. One should take the things that concern them very seriously, and strive to fulfill the responsibilities which accompany them, according to the teachings of Islam, solely for the pleasure of Allah, the Exalted. It is important to note that one would not be perfecting their faith if they avoided things according to their own thinking or desires. But the one who perfects their faith avoids the things which Islam has advised to avoid. Meaning, one should strive to fulfill all their duties, avoid all sins and the things which are disliked in Islam, and even avoid the excess use of unnecessary lawful things. Achieving this excellence is a characteristic of the excellence of faith, mentioned in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 99. This is when one acts and worships Allah, the Exalted, as if they can observe Him, or they at least become fully aware of Allah, the Exalted, observing their every thought and action. Being aware of this divine surveillance will encourage a Muslim to always abstain from sins and hasten towards righteous deeds. The one who does not avoid the things which do not concern them will not reach this level of excellence. A major aspect of avoiding the things which do not concern a person is linked to speech. The majority of sins occur when a person utters words which do not concern them, such as backbiting and slander. The definition of vain talk is when a person utters words which may not be sinful, but are useless, and therefore not their concern. As confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 2408, vain speech is hated by Allah, the Exalted. Countless arguments, fights and even physical harm have occurred simply because someone spoke about something which did not concern them. Many families have become divided. Many marriages have ended because someone did not mind their business. It is why Allah, the Exalted, has advised in the Holy Quran the different types of useful speech which people should concern themselves with. Chapter 4 An-Nisa, verse 114.
No good is there in much of their private conversation, except for those who enjoin charity or that which is right or conciliation between people. And whoever does that seeking means to the approval of Allah, then we are going to give him a great reward.
In fact, uttering words which are not a person's concern will be the main reason people enter hell. This has been indicated in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 2616. This is why the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 2412, that all speech will be counted against a person unless it is connected to advising good, forbidding evil, or the remembrance of Allah, the Exalted. This means that all other forms of speech are not a person's concern, as they will not benefit them. It is important to note that advising good encompasses anything which is beneficial in one's worldly and religious life, such as their occupation. Therefore, Muslims should strive to avoid the things which do not concern them through words and actions, so that they can perfect their faith. Put simply, the one who dedicates time to the things which do not concern them will fail in the things which do concern them. And the one who occupies themselves with the things which do concern them will not find time to spend on the things which do not concern them. Meaning they will achieve success through the mercy of Allah, the Exalted, in both worlds. Finally, the one who occupies themselves with the things which concern them will complete all the useful worldly and religious things they are responsible for, and therefore obtain peace of mind. One of the main sources of stress is when one occupies themselves with things which do not concern them, as it prevents them from fulfilling their worldly and religious responsibilities. Behaving in the right manner will allow one to complete their important responsibilities, while ensuring they have plenty of free time to relax and do the things they enjoy. Strengthening Faith 2. In a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 159, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, gave a short but far-reaching piece of advice. He advised people to sincerely declare their belief in Allah, the Exalted, and then remain steadfast on it. Remaining steadfast on one's faith means that they must strive in the sincere obedience of Allah, the Exalted, in all aspects of their life. It consists of fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, which relate to Him, such as the obligatory fasts, and those which relate to people, such as treating others kindly. It includes refraining from all the prohibitions of Islam which are between a person and Allah, the Exalted, and those involving others. A Muslim must also face destiny with patience, truly believing Allah, the Exalted, chooses what is best for His servants. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 216.
But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not.
Finally, it involves fulfilling these aspects according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Chapter 3 Ali Imran, verse 31.
Say, if you should love Allah, then follow me, so Allah will love you and forgive you your sins.
Steadfastness can include refraining from both types of polytheism. The major type is when one worships something other than Allah, the Exalted. The minor type is when one performs good deeds other than for the sake of Allah, the Exalted, such as showing off. This has been warned in a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 3989. Therefore, an aspect of steadfastness is to always act for the sake of Allah, the Exalted. It includes obeying Allah, the Exalted, at all times and refraining from cherry-picking when and what Islamic teachings one will follow according to their desires. Steadfastness includes sincerely obeying Allah, the Exalted, instead of obeying and pleasing oneself or others. If a Muslim disobeys Allah, the Exalted, by pleasing themselves or others, they should know that neither their desires nor people will protect them from Allah, the Exalted. On the other hand, the one who is sincerely obedient to Allah, the Exalted, will be protected from all things by Him, even if this protection is not apparent to them. Remaining steadfast on one's faith includes following the path set out by the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and not adopting a path which deviates from this. The one who strives to adopt this path will not need anything else, as this is enough to keep them steadfast in their faith. Chapter 4 An-Nisa, verse 59.
O you who have believed, obey Allah and obey the Messenger and those in authority among you.
As indicated by this verse, an aspect of being steadfast is obeying anyone whose commands and advice is rooted in the sincere obedience of Allah, the Exalted, and the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. As people are not perfect, they will undoubtedly make mistakes and commit sins. So being steadfast in matters of faith does not mean one has to be perfect, but it means they must strive to adhere strictly to the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, as outlined earlier, and to sincerely repent if they commit a sin. This has been indicated in chapter 41 Fussilat, verse 6.
So take a straight course to him and seek his forgiveness.
This is further supported by a narration found in Jami, at-Tirmizi, number 1987, which advises to fear Allah, the Exalted, and to erase a minor sin which has occurred by performing a righteous deed. In another narration found in Imam Malik's Muwatta, Book 2, narration number 37, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised Muslims to try their best to remain steadfast on the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, even though they will not be able to do it perfectly. Therefore, a Muslim's duty is to fulfill the potential they have been given through their intention and physical actions in the steadfast obedience of Allah, the Exalted. They have not been commanded to achieve perfection, as this is not possible. It is important to note that one cannot remain steadfast in the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, through their physical actions without purifying their spiritual heart first. As indicated in a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 3984, the limbs of the body will only act in a pure way if the spiritual heart is pure. Purity of heart is only achieved by gaining and acting on the teachings of the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Steadfast obedience requires one to control their tongue, as it expresses the heart. Without controlling the tongue, steadfast obedience to Allah, the Exalted, is not possible. This has been advised in a narration found in Jami, at-Tirmizi, number 2407. Finally, if any deficiency in the steadfast obedience of Allah, the Exalted, occurs, one must make sincere repentance to Allah, the Exalted, and seek the forgiveness of people, if it involves their rights. Chapter 46 Al-Ahqaf, verse 13.
Indeed, those who have said, Our Lord is Allah, and then remained on a right course, there will be no fear concerning them, nor will they grieve.
Strengthening Faith 3. In a long narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 99, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, explained the meaning of excellence of faith. This excellence refers to one's conduct and behavior towards Allah, the Exalted, and the creation. Acting with excellence has been mentioned throughout the Holy Quran, such as chapter 10 Yunus, verse 26.
For them who have done excellent is the best reward and extra.
The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has explained this verse in narrations found in Sahih Muslim, numbers 449 and 450. The word extra in this verse refers to when the inhabitants of paradise will be blessed with the divine vision of Allah, the Exalted. This reward befits the Muslim who acts with excellence, as excellence means to lead one's life as if they can witness Allah, the Exalted, observing their outer and inner being at all times. A person who can observe a powerful authority watching them will never misbehave out of awe of them. In fact, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, once advised someone to always behave as if they were constantly being observed by a righteous man they respected. This has been advised in a narration found in Imam Tabarani's Al-Mujam al-Kabir, number 5539. Whoever acts in this manner will very rarely commit sins and always hasten towards good deeds. This attitude creates the fear of Allah, the Exalted, and acts as a shield from the fire of trials in this world and the fire of hell in the hereafter. This vigilance will ensure one not only fulfills all their duties towards Allah, the Exalted, but it also encourages them to fulfill their responsibilities towards the creation, the peak of which is to sincerely treat others with kindness. This person will fulfill the narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 251, which advises that a person cannot be a true believer until they love for others what they love for themselves. This level of excellence ensures one acts with the right intention, which is the foundation of faith, according to the narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 1. Success is guaranteed for the one who performs good deeds and demonstrates good behavior with the right intention, namely, to please Allah, the Exalted. The more excellent a person acts, the stronger their faith becomes until they become a Muslim who is far from heedlessness and is always struggling to beautify their hereafter and worldly life according to the teachings of Islam. It is feared that the opposite of this reward will be given to those who turned away from Allah, the Exalted. As they lived without fearing the all-encompassing gaze of Allah, the Exalted, they will be veiled from seeing Him in the hereafter. Chapter 83 Al-Mutaffifin, verse 15.
No. Indeed, from their Lord that day, they will be partitioned.
Those who fail to reach the level of acting as if they witness Allah, the Exalted, must act on the second part of the advice given in the main narration under discussion, namely, to sincerely believe that Allah, the Exalted, is constantly observing them. Even though this state is lower in rank than the one who acts as if they observe Allah, the Exalted, nonetheless, it is a great way of adopting true fear of Allah, the Exalted. As mentioned earlier, this attitude will prevent one from committing sins and encourage them towards good deeds. As advised by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, in Imam Tabarani's Al-Mujam al-Kabir, number 7935, the one who strives to adopt this mentality will be granted shade on the Day of Judgment by Allah, the Exalted. The divine presence of Allah, the Exalted, is mentioned throughout the Holy Quran, such as chapter 57 Al-Hadid, verse 4.
He is with you wherever you are, and Allah of what you do is seeing.
The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has advised to adopt the true awareness of the divine presence of Allah, the Exalted, in many narrations. For example, in one divine narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 7405, Allah, the Exalted, declares that He is with whoever remembers Him. This is the reason why it has been reported in Hilyat al-Awliya, volume 1, pages 84 and 85, about the commander of the faithful, Ali bin Abu Talib, may Allah be pleased with him, that he shied away from the glitter and pomp of the material world and found solace in the lonely night. Meaning, he sought the companionship of Allah, the Exalted, rather than the companionship of people. Adopting the awareness of the divine presence of Allah, the Exalted, not only prevents sins and encourages good deeds, but it also prevents loneliness and depression. A person is very rarely affected by mental health issues when they are constantly surrounded by a person who loves them and aids them. No one loves the creation more than Allah, the Exalted, and there is no doubt that He is the source of all aid. Therefore, acting with excellence benefits one's faith, actions, emotional state, and the wider society. A Muslim must avoid becoming like those who treat Allah, the Exalted, as the most insignificant of those who observe them. This is a serious spiritual illness which leads to all types of sins and evil behavior towards Allah, the Exalted, and the creation. The one who acts on the lower level by constantly remembering the divine vision will eventually reach the higher level, and live as if they can see Allah, the Exalted, constantly observing their outer and inner states. Living in this manner ensures steadfast obedience of Allah, the Exalted, in all cases. Both levels of excellence of faith is obtained when one learns and acts on Islamic knowledge. The more they do this, the more they will be aware of the divine presence. Remaining steadfast on this behavior will then lead to excellence of faith, strengthening faith. 4. In a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6407, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that the difference between the person who remembers Allah, the Exalted, and the one who does not, is like a living person compared to a dead person. It is important for Muslims who desire to create a strong connection with Allah, the Exalted, so that they can overcome all difficulties in this world and in the hereafter successfully, to remember Allah, the Exalted, as much as possible. Put simply, the more they remember Him, the more they will achieve this vital goal. This is achieved by practically acting on the 3 levels of the remembrance of Allah, the Exalted. The first level is to remember Allah, the Exalted, internally and silently. This includes correcting one's intention so that they only act in order to please Allah, the Exalted. The second is by remembering Allah, the Exalted, through one's tongue. This involves speaking in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, or remaining silent. As this has been commanded in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 176, remaining silent in cases when someone has nothing good to say, is a good deed and is therefore part of remembering Allah, the Exalted. The highest and most effective way of strengthening one's bond with Allah, the Exalted, is practically remembering Him with one's limbs. This is achieved by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. The one who does this will use the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. But this requires one to gain and act on Islamic knowledge, which in turn is the root of all good and success in both worlds. Those who remain on the first 2 levels will receive reward depending on their intention, but they are unlikely to increase the strength of their faith and piety, unless they move to the 3rd and highest level of the remembrance of Allah, the Exalted. The one who fulfills all 3 levels has been promised peace of mind and body in both worlds. Chapter 13 Ar-Ra'd, verse 28.
Unquestionably, by the remembrance of Allah do hearts find peace.
And chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
Unfortunately, many Muslims who fulfill their obligatory duties and perform voluntary worship overlook and fail to fulfill these levels of remembering Allah, the Exalted, and as a result they fail to find peace in this world, despite their worship and good deeds. Strengthening faith. 5. In a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 574, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that whoever establishes the 2 Qul obligatory prayers will enter paradise. The 2 Qul obligatory prayers refer to the dawn and late afternoon obligatory prayers, Fajr and Asr, as during these 2 times the weather is cooler than at other times, meaning before sunrise and before sunset. Establishing the obligatory prayers includes fulfilling all their conditions and etiquettes correctly, according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, such as offering them on time. In fact, offering them as soon as they occur is one of the most beloved deeds to Allah, the Exalted. This has been advised in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 252. Even though there are 5 obligatory prayers which must be established yet, only 2 have been mentioned in the main narration under discussion. This is because these 2 prayers are arguably the 2 hardest to establish. The obligatory dawn prayer occurs at a time when most people are asleep. Therefore, it requires much energy and motivation in order to leave one's comfortable bed in order to offer it correctly. The obligatory late afternoon prayer mostly occurs at a time where most people have completed their working day and have returned home tired. So to leave one's relaxation after a tiring and even stressful day of work in order to correctly offer their obligatory prayer is difficult. Therefore, if one correctly establishes these 2 prayers, they will, through the mercy of Allah, the Exalted, find it easier to establish the other obligatory prayers, which usually occur at more convenient times. Muslims should therefore strive to establish all their obligatory prayers, as it is the very essence of Islam, and it in fact separates belief from disbelief. This has been confirmed in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmizi, number 2618. Finally, one must note that the main narration under discussion does not mean one can achieve success by only offering the 5 obligatory prayers while neglecting their other obligatory duties and responsibilities to Allah, the Exalted, and people. In reality, the one who establishes their obligatory prayers will strive to fulfill all their other obligatory duties and responsibilities, as this is one of the outcomes of establishing the obligatory prayers. Chapter 29 Al-Ankabut, verse 45.
Indeed, prayer prohibits immorality and wrongdoing.
In addition, the narration guarantees paradise to the one who establishes their obligatory prayers, but does not guarantee that they will not enter hell first as a result of their sins. Therefore, as always, one must understand the verses of the Holy Quran and the narrations in their correct context. Strengthening Faith 6. In a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 4168, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that the strong believer is more beloved to Allah, the Exalted, than a weaker believer. This does not necessarily refer to physical strength, which one uses to perform righteous deeds, but it also refers to gaining and acting on Islamic knowledge in order to obtain certainty of faith. The one who possesses strong faith will fulfill their duties to Allah, the Exalted, and people correctly, and in every situation, during ease and difficulties, according to their knowledge. Whereas, a weak believer will easily fail in their duties to Allah, the Exalted, and people in difficult situations. In addition, the faith of the weak believer is based on blind imitation of others and not Islamic knowledge. Blind imitation prevents one from improving their behavior through gaining new knowledge, and it often leads to deviant practices, especially when the person one imitates is ignorant themselves. Blind imitation does not suffice when one faces difficult situations which require steadfastness, which in itself is rooted in gaining and acting on Islamic knowledge. For example, the one who does not possess Islamic knowledge easily questions and challenges destiny. The stronger one's faith, the greater their obedience to Allah, the Exalted, in the form of fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This in turn increases their success in both worlds. Chapter 41 Fussilat, verse 53.
We will show them our signs in the horizons and within themselves until it becomes clear to them that it is the truth.
Strengthening Faith 7. In a divine narration of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6502, Allah, the Exalted, declares some important things. The first thing mentioned is that Allah, the Exalted, declares war on the person who shows enmity to one of his righteous friends. This occurs as the one who shows enmity to a person's friend is in fact showing enmity to the person indirectly. This indirectly warns Muslims to only befriend the righteous servants of Allah, the Exalted, and to never show any enmity or dislike for them, as this is the attitude of the enemies of Allah, the Exalted, such as the devil. Chapter 60 Al-Mumtahana, verse 1.
O you who have believed, do not take my enemies and your enemies as allies.
It is important to note that any form of disobedience to Allah, the Exalted, is waging war against Him. Therefore, a Muslim should avoid all forms of disobedience, including disliking those who strive in obeying Him, as this only invites the anger of Allah, the Exalted. For example, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, warned in a narration found in Jami at-Tirmizi, number 3862, that a person should never insult his companions, may Allah be pleased with them, as insulting them is like insulting the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and whoever harms him has insulted Allah, the Exalted. And this sinful person will soon be punished, unless they sincerely repent. In addition, as righteousness, which is based on one's intention, is hidden from people, Muslims must avoid disliking other Muslims, as they do not know who is a righteous friend of Allah, the Exalted. So this part of the main narration encourages one to show good manners to all Muslims, by treating them in a way one wishes to be treated by people. The next thing mentioned in the main divine narration under discussion is that a Muslim can only draw close to Allah, the Exalted, through fulfilling their obligatory duties. And they can achieve the love of Allah, the Exalted, through voluntary righteous deeds. This description splits the servants of Allah, the Exalted, into two categories. The first group draws near to Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling their obligatory duties in respect to Allah, the Exalted, such as the obligatory prayer, and in respect to people, such as the obligatory charity. This can be summed up by fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refraining from His prohibitions and being patient with destiny. The second category of those who are brought near to Allah, the Exalted, are superior to the first group, as they not only fulfill their obligatory duties, but strive in voluntary righteous deeds. This clearly shows that this is the only path to the proximity of Allah, the Exalted. Whoever takes a path other than this will not achieve this vital goal. This completely rejects the concept of obtaining sainthood without striving in obedience to Allah, the Exalted. The person who claims this is simply a liar. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 4094, that when the spiritual heart is pure, the rest of the body becomes pure. This leads to righteous deeds. So if a person does not perform righteous deeds, such as their obligatory duties, then their body is impure, which means their spiritual heart is impure as well. This person can never reach the proximity of Allah, the Exalted. It is important to note, the greatest voluntary righteous deeds one can perform are those based on the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Anyone who chooses to perform voluntary righteous deeds not based on his traditions has been fooled by the devil, as no path will take one close to Allah, the Exalted, except the path and actions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Chapter 3 Ali Imran, verse 31.
Say, Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, if you should love Allah, then follow me, so Allah will love you and forgive you your sins.
The pious Muslims who belong in the second higher group are also those who avoid the unnecessary and vain things of this material world. This attitude aids them in focusing their efforts on performing voluntary righteous deeds. It is this group who have perfected their faith by loving, hating, giving and withholding all for the sake of Allah, the Exalted. This has been advised in a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 4681. In addition, the Muslims from this higher group strive to use each blessing they have been granted, such as their energy and time, in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. They avoid using them in ways which will not please Allah, the Exalted, nor benefit them in the hereafter, even if these ways are permissible. The next thing mentioned in the main narration under discussion is that when one strives in fulfilling the obligatory duties and performing voluntary righteous deeds, Allah, the Exalted, blesses their five senses so that they use them in obedience to Him. This righteous servant will very rarely commit sins. This increase in guidance has been indicated in chapter 29 Al-Ankabut, verse 69.
And those who strive for us, we will surely guide them to our ways.
This Muslim reaches the level of excellence which has been discussed in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 99. This is when a Muslim performs actions, such as the prayer, as if they observe Allah, the Exalted. The one who reaches this level will guard their mind and body from sins. This is the one who, when they speak for Allah, the Exalted. When they are silent for Allah, the Exalted. When they act for Him, and when they are still, they are for His sake. This is an aspect of monotheism and understanding the oneness of Allah, the Exalted. It is important to note that this empowerment includes dealing with difficulties with patience, and times of ease with gratitude, which involves using the blessings one has been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. This empowerment also includes obtaining peace of mind, as the mental state of the one who is empowered will not be easily shaken, nor broken down by the different situations one can face in this world. The next thing mentioned in the main narration under discussion is that this Muslim's supplication will be fulfilled, and they will be granted the refuge and protection of Allah, the Exalted. This is a clear lesson for those who desire lawful, worldly things. They should not seek to obtain them using any means except through the sincere obedience of Allah, the Exalted. No spiritual teacher or anyone else will be able to grant things to a person, unless the person strives in the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, and they are destined to obtain those things. In addition, no person can and will grant another refuge and protection from the punishment of Allah, the Exalted, in both worlds. One can only obtain this protection through the sincere obedience of Allah, the Exalted. This eliminates the wishful thinking of some who believe they can persist in the disobedience of Allah, the Exalted, and still obtain protection from His punishment, especially in the hereafter, through the intercession of someone else. Even though the intercession of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, on Judgment Day is a fact, nonetheless behaving in this mocking manner may cause one to lose it. To conclude, this narration makes it clear that the proximity of Allah, the Exalted, is only gained through his sincere obedience, in the form of fulfilling his commands, refraining from his prohibitions, and being patient with destiny, according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. All other prescribed methods are false and nothing but wishful thinking, which has no value or weight in Islam. Strengthening Faith 8. In a long narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6806, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, mentions 7 groups of people who will be granted shade on the Day of Judgment by Allah, the Exalted. This shade will protect them from the horrors of the Day of Judgment, which includes the unbearable heat caused by the sun being brought within 2 miles of the creation. This has been warned in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 2421. One of these groups includes a young person who was raised in the worship of Allah, the Exalted. This is a great deed, as one's desire for worldly things and possessing the mental and physical strength to obtain them is greatest during one's youth. For example, it is common to observe the elderly regularly attending a mosque, but rare to observe a young person. So if they put their desires aside and strive in fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, first, then their reward will be great. It is important to note, this narration does not refer to a young person who is constantly worshipping Allah, the Exalted. It refers to the one who fulfills their duties towards Allah, the Exalted, such as the obligatory prayers according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and their duties towards people. The one who behaves in such a manner will find plenty of time to do other lawful things. But this attitude is rarely observed in a young person, as most Muslims only appreciate the importance of fulfilling their duties when they get older. This is why it is extremely important for parents and elders to encourage their children from a young age to fulfill their duties. In fact, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, even advised parents in a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawud, number 495, to encourage their children to offer the obligatory prayers before they reach the age when they become obligatory on them. This preparation ensures they will fulfill their duties when they become binding on them. Unfortunately, this is an aspect of raising children Muslims often overlook, as they encourage their children on succeeding in worldly matters and delay their religious education. But by this time they become to set in their ways to act on the commands of Allah, the Exalted. The next person who will be granted shade on Judgment Day is the Muslim whose heart is attached to the mosques. This includes the Muslim who strives to offer their obligatory prayers at the mosque with congregation. One can understand the seriousness of not performing this deed by understanding the narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 1481. It warns that the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, desired to command the houses of the men who failed to offer their prayers in congregation at the mosque without a valid excuse to be burned down. In this day and age, for a working Muslim, it is difficult to offer all their obligatory prayers at the mosque with congregation. But even still, with the exception of a few, every Muslim can offer at least a few obligatory prayers in congregation at the mosque every day. For example, those who work night shifts can offer the obligatory prayers which occur during the day. And those who work day shifts can offer the obligatory prayers which occur during the night with congregation at the mosque. This narration also includes those who regularly attend mosques in order to teach or learn Islamic knowledge, as this deed causes their hearts to keep returning to the mosque. The final person mentioned in the main narration under discussion who will be granted shade on Judgment Day is the one who remembers Allah, the Exalted, in solitude and cries. Firstly, the fact that this reaction occurs in solitude indicates the sincerity of the Muslim, meaning their reaction is purely for the sake of Allah, the Exalted. This reaction could be due to a number of factors, which include one's realization of the uncountable blessings they have been granted, even though they show a lack of gratitude for them by using them incorrectly. One's understanding of the mercy of Allah, the Exalted, when He conceals their sins from the creation. A Muslim continuously receiving blessings from Allah, the Exalted, even when they sin. A Muslim's reflection and assessment of their own deeds, which encourages them to sincerely repent. One's realization that they will only be forgiven and granted paradise through the mercy of Allah, the Exalted, and not because of their righteous deeds, which is confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6467. The important thing to note is that this reaction only occurs when one truly reflects on this material world, the afterlife, death, judgment day, and their deeds. The one who is heedless to this will never achieve this outcome. Strengthening Faith 9. In a narration found in Jami at-Tirmidhi, number 1987, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, gave some important pieces of advice. The first is to fear Allah, the Exalted, through piety. This is achieved when one fulfills the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refrains from His prohibitions, and faces destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This is only achieved through learning and acting on the teachings of the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This advice encompasses all the teachings and duties of Islam. When one strives in this manner, they will eventually reach the high level of faith called excellence. This is when one acts, such as performing the prayer, as if they witness Allah, the Exalted, observing them. This has been advised in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 99. This ensures one fulfills their duties both to Allah, the Exalted, and to the creation. The latter involves fulfilling the rights of people, according to the teachings of Islam. This is best fulfilled by treating others how one desires to be treated by people. The second advice given in the main narration under discussion is that a Muslim should follow up a sin with a righteous deed so that it wipes out the sin. This refers to minor sins only, as major sins require sincere repentance. If one adds sincere repentance to their righteous deed, then it will erase any sin, minor or major. But a part of acting rightly is to strive not to repeat the sin again, as sinning with the intention of following it up with a righteous deed is a dangerous, misguiding mentality. One should strive not to commit sins, and when they do occur, they must sincerely repent. Sincere repentance involves feeling remorse, seeking forgiveness of Allah, the Exalted, and anyone who has been wronged. As long as this will not lead to further trouble, one must sincerely promise to avoid committing the same or similar sin again, and make up for any rights which have been violated in respect to Allah, the Exalted, and people. Strengthening Faith 10. In a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 3371, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, warned that a Muslim must never consume alcohol, as it is the key to all evil. Unfortunately, this major sin has increased amongst the Muslims over time. This is the key to all evil, as it gives rise to other sins. This is quite obvious, as a drunk loses control over their tongue and physical actions. One only needs to look at the news to observe how much crime is committed due to drinking alcohol. Even those who drink moderately only cause damage to their bodies, which science has proven. The physical and mental diseases associated with alcohol are numerous and cause a heavy burden on the National Health Service and the taxpayers. It is the key to all evil as it negatively affects all three aspects of a person, their body, mind and soul. It destroys the relationships between people, as alcohol negatively affects one's behavior. For example, there is a clear correlation between alcohol consumption and domestic violence. Chapter 5 Al-Maida, verse 90.
O you who have believed, indeed intoxicants, gambling, sacrificing on stone altars to other than Allah, and divining arrows are but defilement from the work of Satan, so avoid it that you may be successful.
The fact that drinking alcohol has been placed next to things which are associated with polytheism in this verse highlights how important it is to avoid. It is such a serious sin that the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, warned in a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 3376, that the one who drinks alcohol regularly will not enter paradise. Spreading the Islamic greeting of peace is a key to obtaining paradise, according to a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 68. Nonetheless, a narration found in Imam Bukhari's Adab al-Mufrad, number 1017, advises Muslims not to greet someone who regularly drinks alcohol. Alcohol is a unique major sin, as it has been cursed in 10 different ways in a single narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 3380. These include the alcohol itself, the one who produces it, the one it is produced for, the one who sells it, the one who buys it, the one who carries it, the one to whom it is carried to, the one who uses the wealth obtained through selling it, the one who drinks it and the one who pours it. The one who deals with something that has been cursed like this will not obtain true success, unless they sincerely repent. Even though breaking alcohol addiction is difficult, nonetheless, one must strive hard to avoid all the things which will tempt them towards it, such as bad friends. They must utilize all the help available to them, such as counseling sessions. They must never forget that Allah, the Exalted, does not burden a person with a duty they cannot complete. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 286.
Allah does not charge a soul, except with that within its capacity.
These things will aid them in turning away from this major sin for good. Strengthening faith 11. In a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6464, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that deeds should be done correctly, sincerely and moderately. He added that a person's deeds will not take them to paradise, and concluded that the most beloved deeds to Allah, the Exalted, are those which are regular, even if they are few. Muslims should ensure that they perform deeds correctly, meaning, according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, as performing deeds without this guidance will lead one away from the pleasure of Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 3 Ali Imran, verse 31.
Say, Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, if you should love Allah, then follow me, so Allah will love you and forgive you your sins.
Next, they must perform them for the pleasure of Allah, the Exalted, and not for any other reason, such as showing off. These people will be told to gain their reward from those who they acted for on Judgment Day, which will not be possible. This has been warned in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 3154. Muslims should perform voluntary righteous deeds moderately, without overburdening themselves, as this often leads to one giving up. Instead, they should act according to their capacity and means regularly, even if these actions are little in size and number, as this is far superior to big actions which are performed once in a while. Moderation also prevents one from neglecting any of their duties and responsibilities, whether they are in respect to Allah, the Exalted, or people. Moderation also allows one to fulfill all their responsibilities, while ensuring they have plenty of time to enjoy lawful pleasures without excessiveness, extravagance or waste. Finally, a Muslim must understand that their righteous deeds are a blessing from Allah, the Exalted, as the inspiration, knowledge, strength and opportunity to perform them comes from Allah, the Exalted. Therefore, Muslims will only enter paradise through the mercy of Allah, the Exalted. In addition, No matter how many good deeds one performs, they will never be able to show adequate gratitude for the countless blessings they have been granted by Allah, the Exalted. Understanding these facts prevent one from adopting the deadly characteristic of pride, an atom's worth of which is enough to take one to hell. This has been warned in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 266, Strengthening Faith 12. In a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 2389, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that righteousness is good character, and a sin creates a negative internal feeling, and its doer would dislike others finding out about it. This narration indicates that the root of all good and righteousness is good character. This is when one fulfills their duty towards Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. And it includes fulfilling the rights of people, according to the teachings of Islam. This can be fulfilled when one treats people in the same way they desire others to treat them. In fact, a person will not become a true believer until they love for others what they love for themselves. This has been advised in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 2515. Good character towards Allah, the Exalted, and people is important to adopt, as it will be the heaviest thing in the scales of Judgment Day, and the person who possesses good character will gain the equivalent reward of the one who prays and fasts continuously. This has been advised in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 2003. The main narration under discussion also indicates how to judge one's actions. A sin is something which creates a negative internal feeling, and the sinner would dislike others finding about their actions. If a Muslim adheres to this advice, they will avoid the vast majority of sins, as human beings have been created in a way which alerts them when they commit most sins. This guilty conscience is in fact a proof that one's soul has been predisposed to believe in their accountability on the Day of Judgment, as one feels negatively towards sins, even when they fully believe they will not be held accountable for them by people such as the police. It is important to note, Muslims must still strive to gain and act on Islamic knowledge, as this internal warning does not occur with all sins, and they will lose this warning system if they persist on the disobedience of Allah, the Exalted. This has been indicated in a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 4244. But nonetheless, it is still an excellent deterrent from sins which Muslims must pay heed to. Strengthening Faith 13. In a narration found in Imam Munzari's Awareness and Apprehension, number 28, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised two characteristics which lead a Muslim to paradise. In a narration found in Imam Munzari's Awareness and Apprehension, number 28, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised three characteristics which lead a Muslim to paradise. The first is to consume lawful food. This includes avoiding obtaining and utilizing the unlawful, such as wealth, in any aspect of one's life. It has been warned in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 2342, that the righteous deeds of a Muslim who utilizes unlawful provision will not be accepted by Allah, the Exalted. Obtaining lawful provision is the foundation stone of Islam. Without it, success is not possible. As one's lawful provision was allocated to them over 50,000 years before the creation of the heavens and the earth, according to the narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 6748, a Muslim must therefore utilize their strength and resources in obtaining it, full well believing they will receive it. This will prevent them from pursuing the unlawful. The second characteristic mentioned in the main narration under discussion is following the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This does not mean only learning them, but more importantly it includes acting on them. This encompasses fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refraining from His prohibitions and facing destiny with patience. A Muslim must never cherry-pick which traditions to follow, nor misinterpret them in order to fulfill their desires. They should not rearrange the order of priority of his traditions, meaning, the established traditions should be acted on first, followed by the non-established, meaning, the non-regular traditions. As the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is the practical role model of the Holy Quran, it is not possible to achieve success and peace in either this world or the next without following in his footsteps practically. Chapter 3 Ali Imran, verse 31.
Say, Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, if you should love Allah, then follow me, so Allah will love you and forgive you your sins.
Strengthening Faith 14. In a narration found in Imam Munzari's Awareness and Apprehension, number 30, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that the Holy Quran will intercede on Judgment Day. Those who follow it during their lives on earth will be led to paradise by it on Judgment Day. But those who neglect it during their lives on earth will find that it pushes them into hell on Judgment Day. The Holy Quran is a book of guidance. It is not merely a book of recitation. Muslims must therefore strive to fulfill all aspects of the Holy Quran to ensure that it guides them to success in both worlds. The first aspect is reciting it correctly and regularly. The second aspect is to understand it through a reliable scholar. And the final aspect is to act on its teachings according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This will ensure they act on the Holy Quran correctly, as the life of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is the practical implementation of the Holy Quran. Those who behave in such a manner are the ones who are given glad tidings of right guidance through every difficulty in this world and its intercession on the Day of Judgment. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
But as warned by the main narration, the Holy Quran is only guidance and a mercy for those who correctly act on its aspects according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. But those who avoid understanding and acting on it, or intentionally misinterpret it, and instead act according to their desires, will be deprived of this right guidance and its intercession on Judgment Day. In fact, their complete loss in both worlds will only increase until they sincerely repent. Chapter 20 Taha, verse 124.
And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed, i.e. difficult life, and we will gather, i.e. raise him on the day of resurrection blind.
Finally, it is important to understand that even though the Holy Quran is a cure for worldly problems, a Muslim should not only use it for this purpose. Meaning, they should not only recite it in order to fix their worldly problems thereby, treating the Holy Quran like a tool, which is removed during a difficulty and then placed back in a toolbox when the issue is resolved. The main function of the Holy Quran is to guide one through the difficulties of this world, in order to reach the hereafter safely. This purpose is not possible to fulfill without understanding and acting on the Holy Quran. Blind recitation is simply not enough. Neglecting this main function and only using it to fix one's worldly problems is not correct, as it contradicts the behavior of a true Muslim. It is like the one who purchases a car with many different accessories, yet it cannot be driven, which is the main purpose of a car. There is no doubt that this person is simply foolish. Chapter 17 Al-Isra, verse 82.
And we send down of the Quran that which is healing and mercy for the believers, but it does not increase the wrongdoers except in loss.
Strengthening Faith 15. In a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 1528, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that the most beloved places to Allah, the Exalted, are the mosques, and the most hated places to him are the marketplaces. Islam does not prohibit Muslims from going to places other than the mosques, nor does it command them to always inhabit the mosques. But it is important that they prioritize attending mosques for the congregational prayers, and attending religious gatherings, over visiting the markets and other places unnecessarily. When a need arises, there is no harm to attend other places, such as shopping centers, but a Muslim should avoid going to them unnecessarily, as they are places where sins more often occur. Whenever they do go to other places, they must ensure they avoid disobeying Allah, the Exalted, which includes wronging others. They should avoid over-socializing, as this is the cause of the majority of sins which occur in society. The mosques are meant to be a sanctuary from sins and a comfortable place to obey Allah, the Exalted, in. This involves fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refraining from his prohibitions and facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Just like a student benefits from a library, as it is an environment created for studying, similarly, Muslims can benefit from mosques, as their very purpose is to encourage Muslims to obtain and act on useful knowledge so that they can obey Allah, the Exalted, correctly. Mosques are also an excellent place to remind one of their purpose, which is to sincerely obey Allah, the Exalted, by using the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Him. The mosques also encourage one to prioritize their activities in the correct way, so that they fulfill their necessities and responsibilities, prepare adequately for the hereafter, and enjoy lawful pleasures in moderation. The one who avoids the mosques often wastes their time and resources on vain and pointless activities, and they therefore lose out on gaining benefit in both worlds. Not only should a Muslim prioritize the mosques over other places, but they should encourage others, such as their children, to do the same. In fact, it is an excellent place for the youth to avoid sins, crimes and bad company, which lead to nothing but trouble and regret in both worlds. Strengthening Faith 16. In a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 1081, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised Muslims how to gain blessings in their provision, divine support and an improvement in their condition and state. The first thing is to sincerely repent to Allah, the Exalted, before one dies. As the time of death is unknown, this narration actually indicates sincerely repenting whenever one commits a sin, meaning repenting without delay. This consists of feeling regretful, seeking forgiveness from Allah, the Exalted, and whoever else has been wronged, making a firm promise not to commit the same or a similar sin again, and, if possible, to make up for any rights which have been violated in respect to Allah, the Exalted, and people. The next thing advised in the main narration is that a Muslim must make use of their time before they become preoccupied with responsibilities, an illness or a difficulty. A Muslim must utilize their resources, such as their time, on things which please Allah, the Exalted, and avoid vain and sinful things. One must remember the great regret they will face on Judgment Day, when they observe the reward given to those who use their resources in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, if they failed to do the same. They must not postpone doing good to a time or day, which they are not guaranteed to reach, and even if they reach it, they may not be in the right position to do the good deed. It is hoped that the one who behaves in this manner will be supported by Allah, the Exalted, when they are no longer in a position to perform extra righteous deeds due to a change in circumstances. This has been indicated in a narration found in Imam Bukhari's Adab al-Mufrad, number 500. A Muslim must first aim to minimize using their time on things which do not benefit them in this world or the next. Next, they should try to reduce the things which only benefit them in this world, and concentrate more on doing things which benefit them in the hereafter, which by definition, automatically benefits them in this world too. The one who remains steadfast on this will use their resources, such as their time, in the right way, in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. The next thing mentioned in the main narration is that a Muslim must strengthen their bond with Allah, the Exalted, by remembering Him much. True remembrance of Allah, the Exalted, consists of 3 levels. The first is internal remembrance, meaning to correct one's intention so that they only act to please Him. This is proven when one does not expect nor hope from any return or gratitude from people. The second level consists of remembering Allah, the Exalted, by speaking good words and avoiding vain and sinful speech. And the highest level is to sincerely obey Allah, the Exalted, through one's actions by using the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Him. This has been discussed in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. The final thing mentioned in the main narration is giving much charity, both hidden and open. This includes both the obligatory and voluntary charity. It is important to note, this means giving charity according to one's means, whether it is much or little. Allah, the Exalted, does not observe quantity, He observes and judges actions based on quality, meaning one's sincerity. This has been indicated in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 1. This leaves Muslims with no excuses but to give charity according to their means. In addition, it is important to give charity regularly instead of once in a while, as regular deeds are more beloved to Allah, the Exalted, even if they are little. This has been advised in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6465. Finally, those who desire to encourage others to give charity can give it publicly. This will lead to them gaining the same reward as those who donate, because of their inspiration. This has been advised in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 2351. But those who are fearful of showing off, which cancels their reward, should do so privately. Islam has provided many options and opportunities for Muslims to gain much reward in order to obtain peace and success in both worlds. One must remember that charity includes all good deeds that help others, not just wealth. So the one who does not possess wealth should give charity in other ways, such as giving others their time, energy, and emotional support. The least one can do is keep their verbal and physical harm away from others, as this is considered as giving charity to oneself. This has been advised in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 250, Strengthening Faith 17. In a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 4031, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that a person who imitates a people is counted as one of them. All Muslims, irrespective of the strength of their faith, desire to be counted and end up with the righteous in the next world. But this narration clearly warns that a Muslim will only be considered a righteous person, and end up with them if they imitate the righteous. This imitation is a practical thing, not only a declaration through words. This imitation is correctly done by fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This will ensure they use the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 29 Al-Ankabut, verse 9.
And those who believe and do righteous deeds, we will surely admit them among the righteous.
But those who verbally declare their love for the righteous, and fail to imitate them, and instead imitate the characteristics found in hypocrites and the sinful, will be considered and judged as one of them. This does not mean they will lose their faith, but it means they will be judged as disobedient Muslims. How can a disobedient Muslim be counted as an obedient Muslim, and end up with the righteous? This is only wishful thinking which has no value in Islam. Chapter 40 Ghafir, verse 58.
And not equal are the blind and the seeing, nor are those who believe and do righteous deeds and the evildoer. Little do you remember.
Finally, the main narration also indicates the importance of befriending good people, as one is influenced negatively or positively by their companions. This has been advised in a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 4833. Therefore, if one desires to imitate the righteous, they should befriend them in this world. This company and imitation will increase the love one has for the righteous. This real love unites one with their beloved in the hereafter. This has been advised in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 3688, Strengthening Faith 18. In a divine narration found in Sunan an-Nasai, number 2219, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that all righteous deeds people perform are for themselves except for fasting, as this is for Allah the Exalted, and He shall reward it directly. This narration indicates the uniqueness of fasting. One of the reasons it is described in this manner is because all other righteous deeds are visible to people, such as the prayer, or they are between people, such as secret charity. Whereas, fasting is a unique righteous deed, as others cannot know someone is fasting by only observing them. In addition, fasting is a righteous deed which puts a lock on every aspect of oneself. Meaning, a person who fasts correctly will be prevented from committing verbal and physical sins, such as looking at and hearing unlawful things. This is also achieved through the prayer, but the prayer is only performed for a short time and is visible to others, whereas fasting occurs throughout the day and is invisible to others. Chapter 29 Al-Ankabut, verse 45.
Indeed, prayer prohibits immorality and wrongdoing.
It is clear from the following verse a person who does not complete the obligatory fasts without a valid reason will not be a true believer, as the two have been directly connected. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 183.
O you who have believed, decreed upon you is fasting as it was decreed upon those before you that you may become righteous.
In fact, The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has warned in a narration found in At-Tirmidhi, number 723, that if a Muslim does not complete a single obligatory fast without a valid reason, they cannot make up for the reward and blessings lost, even if they fasted every day for their entire life. In addition, as indicated by the verse quoted earlier, fasting correctly leads to piety. Meaning, simply starving during the day does not lead to piety, but paying extra attention to abstaining from sins and performing righteous deeds during the fast will lead to piety. It is why a narration found in At-Tirmidhi, number 707, warns that a fast will not be significant if one does not abstain from speaking and acting on falsehood. A similar narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 1690, warns that some fasting people obtain nothing except hunger. When one becomes more aware and careful in obeying Allah, the Exalted, while they are fasting, this habit will eventually affect them, so they behave in a similar way, even when they are not fasting. This is in fact true piety. The righteousness mentioned in the verse quoted earlier is connected to fasting, as fasting reduces one's evil desires and passions. It prevents pride and the encouragement of sins. This is because fasting hinders the appetite of the stomach and one's carnal desires. These two things lead to many sins. In addition, the desire for these two things is greater than the desire for other unlawful things. So whoever controls them through fasting will find it easier to control the weaker evil desires. This leads to true righteousness. As briefly indicated earlier, there are different levels of fasting. The first and lowest level of fasting is when one abstains from the things which will break their fast, such as food. The next level is abstaining from sins which damage one's fast, thereby reducing the reward of their fast, such as lying. This has been indicated in a narration found in Sunan and Nasai, number 2235. Fasting which involves each member of the body is the next level. This is when each body part fasts from sins, for example, the eyes from looking at the unlawful, the ears from listening to the unlawful, and so on. The next level is when one behaves in this manner, even when they are not fasting. Finally, the highest level of fasting is abstaining from all things which are not connected to Allah, the Exalted, meaning, one avoids using the blessings they have been granted, such as their time, in ways which are sinful or vain. A Muslim should also fast inwardly as their body fasts outwardly by abstaining from sinful or vain thoughts. They should fast from persisting on their own plans in respect to their desires, and try to concentrate on fulfilling their duties and responsibilities. In addition, they should fast from inwardly challenging the decree of Allah, the Exalted, and instead accept destiny and whatever it brings, knowing Allah, the Exalted, only chooses the best for His servants, even if they do not understand the wisdom behind these choices. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 216.
But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not.
Finally, a Muslim should aim for the highest reward by keeping their fast a secret, and not inform others if it is avoidable, as informing others unnecessarily leads to a loss of reward, as it is an aspect of showing off. Strengthening faith 19. In a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 1773, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that the reward for an accepted holy pilgrimage is nothing except paradise. The real purpose of the holy pilgrimage is to prepare Muslims for their final journey to the hereafter. The same way a Muslim leaves behind their home, business, wealth, family, friends and social status in order to perform the holy pilgrimage, this will occur at the time of their death, when they take their final journey to the hereafter. In fact, a narration found in At-Tirmidhi, number 2379, advises that a person's family and wealth abandons them at their grave, and only their deeds, good and bad, remain with them. When a Muslim bears this in mind during their holy pilgrimage, they will fulfill all the aspects of this duty correctly. This Muslim will return home a changed person, as they will prioritize preparing for their final journey to the hereafter over amassing the excess aspects of this material world. They will strive in fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refraining from His prohibitions and facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, which includes taking from this world in order to fulfill their needs and the needs of their dependents without waste, excessiveness or extravagance. This will ensure they use the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. Muslims should not treat the holy pilgrimage as a holiday and a shopping trip, as this attitude defeats the purpose of it. It must remind Muslims of their final journey to the hereafter, a journey which has no return and no second chances. Only this will inspire one to fulfill the holy pilgrimage correctly and prepare adequately for the hereafter. The one who behaves in this manner will be led to paradise by their holy pilgrimage. Strengthening Faith 20. In a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 2305, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, indicated some important characteristics for Muslims to adopt. The first is that the best worshipper is the one who avoids the unlawful. This includes avoiding all forms of verbal and physical sins. It includes fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, as abandoning them is unlawful. It includes avoiding using the blessings one has been granted in sinful ways. In addition, a Muslim must never obtain and utilize unlawful provision, such as wealth, as this will cause all of their righteous deeds to be rejected, as the foundation of good deeds must be lawful. This has been indicated in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 2342. Just like the inward foundation of Islam is one's intention, similarly the outward foundation of Islam is obtaining and utilizing the lawful. A Muslim should avoid doubtful things, as this often leads to the unlawful. Avoiding what creates doubt will safeguard one's faith and honor. This has been advised in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 1205. When one behaves in this manner, all their righteous worship and good deeds will be accepted by Allah, the Exalted. The last thing mentioned in the main narration under discussion is that too much laughter kills the spiritual heart. This mentality demands one to always think and discuss funny issues and avoid serious issues. The matter of preparing for death and the hereafter are serious issues, and if one avoids thinking about and discussing them, then they will never correctly prepare for them. This will lead to a dead spiritual heart. A Muslim must be cheerful and optimistic in order to make others feel comfortable, but they should avoid adopting a constant joking attitude, as this attitude leads to vain and even sinful things. Strengthening Faith 21. In a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 2012, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that thinking things through is from Allah, the Exalted, while being hasty is from the devil. This is an extremely important teaching to understand and act on, as Muslims who perform much righteous deeds often destroy them through hastiness. For example, they may utter some evil words in a fit of rage which may cause them to plunge into hell on Judgment Day. This has been warned in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 2314. The vast majority of sins and difficulties, such as arguments, occur because people fail to think things through and instead act in a hasty way. The sign of intelligence is when one thinks before speaking or acting, and only proceeds when they know their speech or action is good and beneficial in worldly and religious matters. Even though a Muslim should not delay in performing righteous deeds yet, they should still think things through before performing them. This is because a righteous deed may receive no reward simply because its conditions and etiquettes have not been fulfilled because of one's hastiness. In this respect, one should only move forward in any matter after they have thought things through. The one who behaves in this manner will not only minimize their sins and increase their obedience to Allah, the Exalted, but they will minimize the difficulties they encounter, such as arguments, difficulties and disagreements in all aspects of their life. Strengthening Faith 22. In a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 2306, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised Muslims to hasten in performing righteous deeds before 7 things occur. The first is overwhelming poverty. This can refer to financial difficulties which distract a person from the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, which involves fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. In addition, stressing over wealth can even push one towards the unlawful. A Muslim should remember that any righteous deed rooted in the unlawful will be rejected by Allah, the Exalted. This has been warned in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 2342. Allah, the Exalted, has allocated provision for the entire creation over 50,000 years before He created the heavens and the earth, according to a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 6748. Therefore, a Muslim should trust that their lawful provision will reach them, as long as they continue to strive for it in lawful ways, according to the teachings of Islam. A Muslim should remember that Allah, the Exalted, chooses what is best for His servants according to His infinite wisdom. He does not give according to someone's desires, as this will most likely lead to their destruction. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 216.
But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not.
And chapter 42 Ash-Shura, verse 27.
And if Allah had extended excessively provision for His servants, they would have committed tyranny throughout the earth. But He sends it down in an amount which He wills.
Finally, this part of the narration also indicates the importance of using one's excess wealth in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, before a time comes when they may want to give charity but may not be in the right financial position to do so. The next thing mentioned in the main narration under discussion is that Muslims should hasten in performing righteous deeds before they become distracted by wealth. Wealth itself is not evil, but depending on how one obtains it and uses it, can either make it a great blessing for them or a great burden for them in both worlds. If a Muslim strives to obtain excess wealth while neglecting their duties to Allah, the Exalted, and people, and hoard or misspend their wealth, it will become a great curse for them in both worlds. Chapter 20 Taha, verse 124.
And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed, i.e. difficult life, and we will gather, i.e. raise him on the day of resurrection blind.
But if a Muslim obtains enough to fulfill their needs and the needs of their dependents without excessiveness, waste or extravagance, and uses their blessings, such as wealth, in other ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, then they will achieve true richness in both worlds. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
The next thing mentioned in the main narration under discussion which prevents righteous actions is a debilitating sickness. This is a warning to make use of one's good health before they encounter sickness. One should observe those who have lost their good health, either through sickness or through aging, and therefore make use of the good health they possess, by striving to gain success in both worldly and religious matters, while giving priority to religion over the world. For example, a Muslim should use their good health to journey to the mosques regularly, in order to offer their obligatory prayers with the congregation, before a time comes when they desire to do this, but do not possess the physical strength to do so. The amazing thing about utilizing one's good health correctly is that when a Muslim eventually loses it, Allah, the Exalted, will continue to grant them the same reward they used to receive when doing good deeds during their time of good health. This has been advised in a narration found in Imam Bukhari's Adab al-Mufrad, number 500. But those who live in heedlessness and fail to utilize their good health will receive no reward during their good health or when they fall sick. This is connected to the next thing mentioned in the main narration under discussion, namely, senility. A Muslim should make use of their youth and strong intelligence before they reach senility. This includes gaining and acting on knowledge and using one's mental strength to obey Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This will ensure they use the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. One should not delay in this by believing they can learn and act on Islamic knowledge when they are older, as there is no guarantee they will reach older age. In addition, even if they do reach elderly age, it will be difficult for them to learn Islamic knowledge, as the prime age to learn is when one is younger. Finally, even if they manage to gain Islamic knowledge in older age, it will be harder for them to implement the knowledge, as older people become more easily accustomed to their habits, and they therefore find it harder to change their behavior positively. Therefore, one must not delay using their mental strength to learn and act on useful knowledge while they are younger. Finally, it is important to behave in this manner before senility occurs, as even the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, sought refuge from senility in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6390. The next thing mentioned in the main narration under discussion which prevents righteous actions is a sudden death. Death is certain, but the time is unknown. A Muslim should not live in heedlessness, believing that their death is far away, as countless people have and will die long before reaching their life expectancy. Nor should they live in such a way, as if they are not going to die at all. Having hopes of a long life can be considered the root of all evil, as it causes one to delay performing righteous deeds, believing they can always perform them tomorrow. It causes them to delay sincere repentance, as they believe they have plenty of time to change for the better. And having hopes for a long life causes one to prioritize obtaining worldly things, such as wealth, in order to make their expected long life on this earth comfortable. These things prevent one from preparing adequately for the hereafter, which involves using the blessings one has been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. Muslims should therefore reduce their hope for a long life, so that they change for the better, and direct their focus to the permanent hereafter. Muslims should not delay, and instead act today, as the tomorrow they hope for may never arrive. A wise person does not prioritize preparing for a day they may never reach, such as their retirement, over practically preparing for the day which they are guaranteed to experience, such as the day they will die. In addition, they should also strive to perform the righteous deeds which will benefit them in case their life ends unexpectedly, such as an ongoing charity, which benefits the donor as long as the charity continues to benefit others. This has been advised in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 1376. The next thing mentioned in the main narration under discussion is the arrival of the Antichrist. This event will prevent one from performing righteous deeds and instead tempt them towards disbelief. One lesson to learn from this is the importance of avoiding doubtful things. Just like a person who journeys close to a border is more likely to cross it, similarly, a Muslim who is surrounded by temptations will more likely be led astray and fail to perform righteous deeds. The one who avoids places and things which tempt them to commit sins will protect their faith and honor. This has been advised in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 1205. Muslims should therefore guard their faith by avoiding things, places and the people who invite or tempt them towards the disobedience of Allah, the Exalted, and ensure their dependents, such as their children, do the same. The final thing mentioned in the main narration under discussion, which prevents one from performing righteous deeds, is the final hour. This is when the trumpet blast will occur. The trumpet blast will lead to the death of the creation. This has been confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 7381. The important thing to learn is that this is a call which no one can or will reject responding to. It will lead to the resurrection and final judgment. Therefore, Muslims should respond to the call of Allah, the Exalted, through the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, through sincere obedience by fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refraining from his prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Chapter 8 and Anfal, verse 24.
O you who have believed, respond to Allah and to the Messenger when he calls you to that which gives you life.
This will ensure they use the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. Whoever responds positively to this call in this world will find the final call easy to endure and respond to. Whereas, the one who lives heedless to the call of Allah, the Exalted, in this world, will not find peace in this world, and they will be forced to answer the call of the trumpet, which will be a great burden for them to endure and respond to. A person can only ignore the call of Allah, the Exalted, for so long as the final call will occur, sooner or later, and no one will be able to avoid or ignore it. If this is inevitable, it makes sense that one responds to it now, today, instead of living in heedlessness. If one hears the trumpet blast while heedless, no action or regret will benefit them, and what comes after for this person will be even more terrifying. Strengthening Faith 23. In a narration found in Imam Munzari's Awareness and Apprehension, number 2556, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, gave glad tidings to the one who possesses the following characteristics. One of these characteristics is earning lawful provision. It is important to understand that if the foundation of someone's life is based in the unlawful, then anything built on top of it will be impure. The righteous deeds, such as charity, of the one who obtains and utilizes the unlawful will be rejected. This has been warned in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 2342. The same way the internal foundation of Islam is one's intention, similarly, the outer foundation of Islam is obtaining and utilizing the lawful. A Muslim should understand that their provision, which includes wealth, was allocated to them over 50,000 years before the creation of the heavens and the earth. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 6748. This allocation can never change, so there is no need to obtain and utilize the unlawful, as this leads to difficulties in this world, as everything they obtain through the unlawful will become a source of stress for them, and it leads to a severe punishment on a great day. Chapter 20 Taha, verse 124.
And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed, i.e. difficult life, and we will gather, i.e. raise him on the day of resurrection blind.
The next characteristic mentioned in the main narration under discussion is behaving righteously, even when one is in private and away from the observation of others. This Muslim becomes fully aware that the divine vision is constantly observing their inner and outer being. This proves their sincerity towards Allah, the Exalted, as they behave righteously even when they are hidden from the sight of people. As these Muslims have gained and acted on Islamic knowledge and strived in the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, they have obtained excellence of faith. This is when one acts, such as offering the prayer, as if they can observe Allah, the Exalted, observing them. This has been discussed in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 99. This prevents them from bothering about the sight of people, as they are too focused and vigilant over the divine vision. This sincerity is important to adopt, so that one only acts to please Allah, the Exalted, and maintains their sincere obedience to Him even in private. Strengthening Faith 24. In a narration found in Jami at-Tirmidhi, number 1660, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, mentioned the most virtuous people. This is the one who sincerely strives in the way of Allah, the Exalted. This includes striving against one's own evil desires and the evil desires of others, and instead remaining firm on the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This includes fulfilling one's duties towards Allah, the Exalted, as described, and one's duties towards people, for example, striving in this material world in order to fulfill one's needs and the needs of their dependents without waste, excessiveness or extravagance. And it includes gently commanding good and forbidding evil, according to Islamic knowledge. This will ensure one uses all the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. A Muslim will not fulfill this narration until they fulfill both aspects of their duties. Strengthening Faith 25. In a narration found in Jami at-Tirmidhi, number 2324, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that the material world is like a prison for the believer and a paradise for the non-believer. Muslims have been commanded to live by a specific code, namely, to fulfill the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refrain from His prohibitions, and face destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This will ensure they use the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. This duty also includes treating the creation in a way one desires others to treat them. Because of this code, Muslims are under constant supervision and fully believe that every deed is recorded and will be judged on the day of resurrection. Because of this fact, a Muslim rejects their evil and vain desires in order to please Allah, the Exalted. They continue in this way until they are released from this prison and reach the eternal bliss of the hereafter. On the other hand, a non-Muslim does not live by this code and instead indulges in their desires, so this world becomes like a paradise for them, whereby they use the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to themselves. But if they die in this state, the hereafter will become their eternal prison. Therefore, a Muslim should make their life easier by adhering to the rules of this world until they are released. But if they keep breaking them, they will only face one hardship after another, just like a prisoner faces hardship if they keep breaking the rules of their prison. But it is important to note, this does not mean a Muslim's life is bad. It only means they are constantly being observed and must live by a code in order to succeed. They must use their blessings in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. The truth is that the one who obeys Allah, the Exalted, correctly will find peace of mind and body, even if outwardly they appear to be in a difficulty. This is because Allah, the Exalted, the controller of hearts, places contentment in their heart. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
This is directly opposite to those who use the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to themselves. Those who outwardly appear to be enjoying the luxuries of the world, but face anxiety, stress, depression, and suicidal thoughts as they have obtained no peace of mind or body. A Muslim should therefore never be fooled by outward appearances. Chapter 20 Taha, verse 124.
And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed, i.e. difficult life, and we will gather, i.e. raise him on the day of resurrection blind.
Strengthening Faith 26. In a divine narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 6833, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that the more one obeys Allah, the Exalted, which involves fulfilling his commands, refraining from his prohibitions and facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, the greater the mercy of Allah, the Exalted, they will receive. In each case, a Muslim's minimal effort will lead to receiving a greater mercy. This mercy will ensure they are rightly guided through every situation they face, so that they overcome them in order to obtain peace of mind, body, and true lasting success in both worlds. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
But the one who holds back from the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, and instead uses the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to themselves, will not obtain this mercy, and they therefore will not obtain right guidance during their life. Instead, they will encounter one difficulty after another, one moment of darkness after another. Chapter 20 Taha, verse 124.
And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed, i.e. difficult life, and we will gather, i.e. raise him on the day of resurrection blind.
Strengthening Faith 27. In a narration found in Jami at-Tirmidhi, number 2451, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon, advised that a Muslim cannot become pious until they avoid something which is not harmful to their religion, out of caution that it will lead to something which is harmful. Piety can be summed up to mean fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refraining from his prohibitions and facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. It includes fulfilling the rights of people, which involves treating others how one desires to be treated by people. An aspect of piety is to avoid things which are doubtful, not just unlawful. This is because doubtful things take a Muslim one step closer to the unlawful. The closer one is to the unlawful, the easier it is to fall into it. It is why a narration found in Jami at-Tirmidhi, number 1205, advises that the one who avoids unlawful and doubtful things and only uses lawful things will protect their religion and honor. If one observes those who have become misguided in society, in most cases it occurred gradually, not in one sudden step. Meaning, the person first indulged in doubtful things before falling into the unlawful. This is the reason why Islam stresses the need to avoid unnecessary and vain things in one's life, as they can lead them to the unlawful. For example, vain and useless speech, meaning speech which derives no benefit nor is it a sin, often leads to evil speech, such as backbiting, lying and slander. If a person avoids the first step by not indulging in vain speech, they would avoid evil speech. This process can be applied to all things which are vain, unnecessary, and especially doubtful. Therefore, a Muslim should strive to adopt piety as described earlier, a branch of which is to avoid vain and doubtful things out of fear they will lead to the unlawful. Strengthening Faith 28. In a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 2618, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, warned that the difference between belief and disbelief is abandoning the obligatory prayers. In this day and age, this has become far too common. Many give up their obligatory prayers for trivial reasons, all of which are undoubtedly rejected. If the obligation of the prayer has not been removed for the one who is engaging in battle, how can it be removed from anyone else? Chapter 4 An-Nisa, verse 102.
And when you, i.e., the commander of an army, are among them and lead them in prayer, let a group of them stand in prayer with you and let them carry their arms. And when they have prostrated, let them be in position behind you, and have the other group come forward which has not yet prayed, and let them pray with you, taking precaution and carrying their arms.
Neither is the traveller or the sick exempt from offering their obligatory prayers. The traveller has been advised to reduce the amount of cycles in some of the obligatory prayers, in order to reduce the burden for them, but they have not been exempt from offering them. Chapter 4 An-Nisa, verse 101.
And when you travel throughout the land, there is no blame upon you for shortening the prayer.
The sick have been advised to perform dry ablution if contact with water will harm them. Chapter 5 Al-Ma'idah, verse 6.
But if you are ill or on a journey, or one of you comes from the place of relieving himself, or you have contacted women and do not find water, then seek clean earth and wipe over your faces and hands with it.
In addition, the sick can perform the obligatory prayer in a way which is easier for them. Meaning, if they cannot stand, they are allowed to sit, and if they cannot sit, they can lay down and offer the obligatory prayer. This is confirmed in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 372. But again, no complete exemption is granted to the sick unless one is mentally ill, which prevents them from comprehending the obligation of the prayer. The other major issue is that some Muslims delay their obligatory prayers and offer them beyond their correct times. This clearly contradicts the Holy Quran, as the believers have been described as those who offer their obligatory prayers on time. Chapter 4 An-Nisa, verse 103.
Indeed, prayer has been decreed upon the believers a decree of specified times.
Many believe that the following verse of the Holy Quran refers to those who unnecessarily delay their obligatory prayers. This has been discussed in Tafsir Ibn Kathir, Volume 10, pages 603 to 604. Chapter 107 Al-Ma'an, verses 4 to 5.
So woe to those who pray, but who are heedless of their prayer.
Here Allah, the Exalted, has clearly cursed those who have adopted this evil trait. How can one find success in this world or the next, if they have been removed from the mercy of Allah, the Exalted? The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, declared in a narration found in Sunan an-Nasai, number 512, that delaying one's obligatory prayers unnecessarily is a sign of hypocrisy. The Holy Quran has made it clear that one of the main reasons people will enter hell is failing to establish the obligatory prayers. Chapter 74 Al-Mudaththir, verses 42 to 43.
And asking them, what put you into Sakar? They will say, we were not of those who prayed.
Abandoning the obligatory prayers is such a serious sin that the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, declared in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 2621, that whoever commits this sin has disbelieved in Islam. In addition, no other good deed will benefit a Muslim until their obligatory prayers are not established. A narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 553, clearly warns that one's good deeds are destroyed if they miss the afternoon obligatory prayer. If this is the case for abandoning one obligatory prayer, can one imagine the penalty of abandoning them all? Observing the obligatory prayers at their correct times has been advised to be one of the most beloved deeds to Allah, the Exalted, in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 252. From this one can determine that delaying the obligatory prayers beyond their time or completely missing them is one of the most hated deeds by Allah, the Exalted. It is an important duty for all elders to encourage the children under their care to offer the obligatory prayers from a young age, so that they establish them before it becomes legally binding on them. Those adults that delay this and wait until their children are older have failed in this extremely important duty. The children who were only encouraged to offer the obligatory prayers when it became obligatory on them very rarely established them quickly. In most cases, it takes years for them to fulfill this important duty correctly. And the blame falls on the elders of the family, especially the parents. This is why the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has advised in a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawud, number 495, that families most encourage their children to offer the obligatory prayers when they turn 7 years old. Another major issue many Muslims face is that they may offer the obligatory prayers but fail to do so correctly. For example, many do not complete the stages of the prayer correctly and instead rush through it. In fact, a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 757, clearly warns that the one who prays like this has not prayed at all. Meaning, they are not recorded as a person who offered their prayer, and therefore their obligation has not been fulfilled. A narration found in Jami' at-Tirmizi, number 265, clearly warns that the prayer of the one who does not settle in each position of the prayer is not accepted. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, described the one who does not bow or prostrate correctly in the prayer as the worst thief. This has been warned in a narration found in Muwatta Malik, book number 9, narration number 75. Unfortunately, many Muslims who have spent decades offering their obligatory and many voluntary prayers like this will find that none of them have counted, and thus they will be treated as one who did not fulfill their obligation. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sunan an-Nasai, number 1313. The Holy Quran indicates the importance of offering the obligatory prayers with congregation, usually at a mosque. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 43.
And bow with those who bow in worship and obedience.
In fact, due to this verse and narrations of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, some reliable scholars have declared this obligatory on Muslim men. For example, one narration found in Sunan Abu Dawud, number 550, clearly warns that the Muslims who would not offer their obligatory prayers with congregation at the mosque were considered hypocrites by the companions, may Allah be pleased with them. In fact, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, even threatened to burn the houses of the men who failed to perform their obligatory prayers at the mosque with congregation without a valid excuse. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 1482. Those Muslims who are in a position to perform this important deed should do so. They should not fool themselves into claiming they are performing other righteous deeds, such as helping their family with house chores. Even though this is a tradition of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, according to a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 676, but it is important not to rearrange the importance of his traditions according to one's desires. Whoever does this is not following his traditions, they are only following their own desires, even if they are performing a righteous deed. In fact, this same narration concludes by advising that when it was time for the obligatory prayer, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, would leave for the mosque. Finally, as warned by the main narration, the one who persists on abandoning the obligatory prayers may well find that they leave this world without their faith. In fact, they may well lose it during their life without even realizing it. One must never fool themselves into thinking it is acceptable to fail to support their verbal claim to faith with actions, such as the obligatory prayers. One must bear in mind that the very definition of Muslim is the one who has practically and internally submitted themselves to Allah, the Exalted. Therefore, there is no such thing as being a Muslim who does not practice Islam, as this attitude contradicts the definition of a Muslim. If a person does not fulfill the definition of a Muslim, how can they consider themselves as one? Strengthening Faith 29. In a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmizi, number 3371, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that supplication is the essence of worship. This is because it is a practical demonstration of humility and one's servanthood to Allah, the Exalted, as it is befitting for the servant to ask from the Master. It is important to know that according to a narration found in Jami, At-Tirmidhi, number 3604, every good supplication is accepted in three ways. It is either fulfilled, the equivalent reward is given in the hereafter, or an equivalent evil is removed from one's life. In the following verse, Allah, the Exalted, guarantees a response to all those who perform supplication. Therefore, one should always bear this in mind and persist in supplications. Chapter 40 Ghafir, verse 60.
And your Lord says, call upon me, I will respond to you.
Even before supplicating, one should ensure their earnings are lawful, and what they consume is lawful. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has clearly warned in a narration found in Jami At-Tirmidhi, number 2989, that the supplication of a person who earns and consumes the unlawful will never be accepted. The first etiquette of supplication is that one should try to face the Qibla when supplicating. This was the tradition of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. An example of this action is found in Sunan and Nasai, number 2899. One should raise their hands begging Allah, the Exalted, to fulfill their desire, as this was the practice of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 1030. In a narration found in Jami At-Tirmidhi, number 3556, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that Allah, the Exalted, is too shy and generous to turn away a beggar empty-handed who raises their hands to him. One should begin and conclude their supplication by first praising Allah, the Exalted, and then sending blessings upon the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This has been advised in a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawud, number 1481. In fact, as mentioned in a narration found in Jami At-Tirmidhi, number 486, a person's supplication remains suspended between the heavens and the earth until they send blessings upon the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. One should praise Allah, the Exalted, with phrases mentioned in the Holy Quran or the narrations of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. The beautiful names of Allah, the Exalted, are found extensively throughout these divine teachings, and should be utilized. For example, chapter 59 Al-Hash, verse 24.
He is Allah, the Creator, the Producer, the Fashioner. To him belong the best names.
The best supplications are found in the Holy Quran and the narrations of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and therefore should be used. For example, chapter 14 Ibrahim, verse 41.
Our Lord, forgive me and my parents, and the believers the day the account is established.
But it is absolutely acceptable to supplicate for specific things, as long as they are lawful. As advised in the Holy Quran, one should supplicate to Allah, the Exalted, with humility, hoping for His mercy and in fear of His greatness. Chapter 7 Al-Araf, verse 56.
And invoke Him in fear and aspiration.
It is vital to supplicate with enthusiasm, full well believing Allah, the Exalted, will fulfill one's needs. In addition, as advised in a narration found in Jami At-Tirmidhi, number 3479, Allah, the Exalted, does not respond to someone who supplicates while heedless or distracted. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has advised in a narration found in Jami At-Tirmidhi, number 3505, that when the following verse of the Holy Quran is recited, the supplication is always accepted. Chapter 21 Al-Anbiya, verse 87.
There is no deity except you, exalted are you. Indeed, I have been of the wrongdoers.
One should seal their supplication with the word Ameen, as this ensures its acceptance. This has been advised in a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawud, number 938. After the supplication is concluded, it is a practice of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, to wipe one's hands over their face. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawud, number 1492. Finally, one should be persistent in supplicating, as giving up is a hasty action which can lead to the supplication being unfulfilled. This warning is given in a narration found in Jami At-Tirmidhi, number 3387. One should make it a habit to remember Allah, the Exalted, in times of ease, so that Allah, the Exalted, will help them in times of difficulty. This is advised in a narration found in Musnad Ahmad, number 2803. As advised in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmizi, number 3499, Allah, the Exalted, readily accepts the supplication made after the obligatory prayers and in the last part of the night. A narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6321, advises that in the last part of the night the divine descent occurs, at which point Allah, the Exalted, calls out and responds to supplications. There is a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawud, number 521, which advises that the supplication between the two call to prayers is never rejected. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has declared that a Muslim is closest to Allah, the Exalted, while they are prostrating, and they should therefore supplicate to him at this time. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sunan and Nasai, number 1138. As mentioned in a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawud, number 1046, there is an hour during every Friday where Allah, the Exalted, readily accepts supplications. When a fasting person breaks their fast, their supplication is also accepted. This has been advised in a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 1753. One should ask the sick to supplicate for them, as it has been advised in a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 1441, that their supplications are like the supplications of the angels. The supplication made when drinking Zamzam water is always accepted. This has been advised in a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 3062. A narration found in Sunan Abu Dawud, number 2540, advises that the supplication at the time when it rains is accepted. A narration found in Sunan Abu Dawud, number 1534, encourages people to supplicate for others in their absence, as they are readily accepted. If one is facing any form of oppression, they should supplicate to Allah, the Exalted, as they will be accepted. This has been advised in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmizi, number 1905. This same narration advises that the supplication of the traveler is never rejected. Finally, one should encourage their parents to supplicate for them, as they are readily accepted. This is supported by a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 3862. Some do not regularly supplicate to Allah, the Exalted, as they claim that He is all aware and requires no one to inform Him of their desires. Even though this is a fact, it is better to supplicate, as this is the tradition of all the holy prophets, peace be upon them all, and has been advised in the Holy Quran. Chapter 40 Ghafir, verse 60.
And your Lord says, call upon me, I will respond to you. Indeed, those who disdain my worship will enter hell rendered contemptible.
Supplicating is an excellent way to demonstrate one's humility and servanthood to Allah, the Exalted. In fact, as mentioned in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmizi, number 3370, nothing is more honorable to Allah, the Exalted, than supplication. Finally, Allah, the Exalted, becomes angry when a person does not supplicate to Him, as it may indicate they believe they are independent of Allah, the Exalted, which is not true. This is confirmed in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmizi, number 3373. Finally, one must always remember that the supplications found within the Holy Quran and the established traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, are secondary to actions. Meaning, the supplications are performed after an act of practical obedience. This indicates that supplications support actions. Therefore, supplications without the practical obedience of Allah, the Exalted, are unlikely to be fruitful. This was not the habit of the holy prophets, peace be upon them, or the companions, may Allah be pleased with them. Unfortunately, many Muslims have become excellent at making supplications, but fail to practically obey Allah, the Exalted, which involves using the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Him. Even the main narration under discussion indicates the importance of practical worship, which is supported by supplications. Supplications cannot replace practical obedience, they instead support them. Both must be present in order to achieve peace and success in both worlds. Chapter 35 Fatir, verse 10.
To him ascends good speech and righteous work raises it.
Strengthening faith 30. In a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawud, Number 4606, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, warned that any matter which is not based on Islam will be rejected. If Muslims desire lasting success in both worldly and religious matters, they must strictly adhere to the teachings of the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Even though certain actions which are not directly taken from these two sources of guidance can still be considered righteous deeds, it is important to prioritize these two sources of guidance over all else. In truth, the more one acts on things which are not taken from these two sources, even if they are righteous deeds, the less they will act on these two sources of guidance. An obvious example is how many Muslims have adopted cultural practices into their lives which do not have a foundation in these two sources of guidance. Even if these cultural practices are not sins, they have preoccupied Muslims from learning and acting on these two sources of guidance, as they feel satisfied with their behavior. This leads to ignorance of the two sources of guidance, which in turn will only lead to misguidance. This is why a Muslim must learn and act on these two sources of guidance, which have been established by the leaders of guidance, and only then act on other voluntary righteous deeds if they have the time and energy to do so. But if they choose ignorance and fabricated practices, even if they are not sins, over learning and acting on these two sources of guidance, they will not achieve success. Finally, when one persists on doing deeds that are not directly connected to the two sources of guidance, due to ignorance, they will easily fall into practices and beliefs which contradict established Islamic knowledge. This takes the Muslim down the path of sins and misguidance while they think they are rightly guided. The one who knows they are lost is likely to accept and alter their direction when advised to by others. But the one who thinks they are on the correct path is highly unlikely to alter and correct their direction, even when they are warned by others who possess knowledge and clear evidence. The only way to avoid this outcome is to strive to gain and act on the knowledge found in the two sources of guidance, and avoid other actions, even if they appear to be good deeds. Over 400 free ebooks, audiobooks, infographics, podcasts and blogs available on our website, www.shakepod.com. Strengthening Faith 31. In a narration found in At-Tirmidhi, number 1205, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that the lawful and unlawful have been made clear by Islam. In between them are doubtful things which should be avoided in order to protect one's faith and honor. The vast majority of Muslims are aware of the obligatory duties and the majority of unlawful things, such as drinking alcohol. So these create no doubt within Muslims. Therefore, they should act according to their clear knowledge. Meaning, fulfill the obligatory duties and abstain from the unlawful, according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. All other things which are not obligatory and create a doubt in society should therefore be avoided. Allah, the Exalted, will not question why someone did not perform a voluntary deed. Instead, He will ask why they performed a voluntary deed. Therefore, leaving the voluntary action will have no consequences in the hereafter, whereas performing a voluntary deed will, namely punishment, reward or forgiveness. It is important for Muslims to act on this short but extremely important narration, as it will solve and prevent many problems and debates. It is important to understand that when one indulges in doubtful or even vain things, it will take them one step closer to the unlawful. For example, sinful speech is often preceded by vain and useless speech. Therefore, it is much safer for a Muslim's faith and honor to avoid doubtful and vain things. This narration also indicates the importance of adhering to the basic and clear teachings of Islam while avoiding things which have not been clarified nor discussed in the two sources of guidance, the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. If these issues were important, they would have been discussed in the two sources of guidance. Unfortunately, many Muslims concentrate so much on debating on side issues which will not be questioned about on Judgment Day, that they distract themselves and others from those things which Allah, the Exalted, will question them about. This attitude must be avoided. Strengthening Faith 32. In a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 7400, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that the one who continues worshipping Allah, the Exalted, during widespread turmoil and seditions is like the one who has emigrated to the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, during his lifetime. The reward of emigrating to the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, during his lifetime was a great deed. In fact, it erased all of one's previous sins, according to a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 321. Worshipping Allah, the Exalted, means to continue sincerely obeying Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions and being patient with destiny, according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This ensures one continues to use the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. It is obvious that the time mentioned in this narration has arrived. It has become very easy to become misguided from the teachings of Islam, as worldly desires have opened up for the Muslim nation. Due to advancements in social media, fashion and culture, it has become easier for Muslims to falsely believe peace of mind lies in misusing the blessings they have been granted. It has become easier to adopt the mentality of following the majority, who have reduced faith to empty practices, which have no bearing on how one practically uses the blessings they have been granted. Wishful thinking in Allah, the Exalted, has become widespread amongst the Muslim nation, whereby they ignore the teachings of the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, yet expect peace and salvation in both worlds. What was considered deviant behavior by any sensible person has become something people are being urged to embrace. Turning away from all of this misguidance will be difficult, and even one's family and friends will criticize them for holding on to the teachings of Islam instead of following the majority. But if one persists, Allah, the Exalted, will replace any losses they suffer, such as the loss of love and respect from friends and relatives, with something much superior, namely, peace of mind and body. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
And what Allah, the Exalted, has reserved for them in the hereafter is much greater. On the other hand, those who turn away from the sincere obedience of Allah, the Exalted, thereby misusing the blessings they have been granted, will find that all their worldly relationships and blessings become a source of stress and curse for them in this world. And what they receive in the hereafter will be far worse. Chapter 20 Taha, verses 124 to 126.
And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed, i.e. difficult life, and we will gather, i.e. raise him on the day of resurrection blind. He will say, My Lord, why have you raised me blind while I was once seeing? Allah will say, Thus did our signs come to you, and you forgot, i.e. disregarded them, and thus will you this day be forgotten.
Therefore, Muslims should not get distracted by the worldly desires which have become widespread and avoid controversial issues and people, and instead remain obedient to Allah, the Exalted, in every aspect of their life, if they desire to obtain the reward mentioned in this narration. Strengthening Faith 33. In a divine narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 1145, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that Allah, the Exalted, descends every night to the nearest heaven according to His infinite majesty, and invites people to ask Him to fulfill their needs so that He can fulfill them. Voluntary nighttime worship proves one's sincerity towards Allah, the Exalted, as no other eyes are watching them. Offering it is a means to having an intimate conversation with Allah, the Exalted, and it is a sign of one's servanthood to Him. It has countless virtues. For example, a narration found in Sunan and Nasai, number 1614, advises that it is the best voluntary prayer. No one will have a rank higher on Judgment Day or in paradise than the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and this rank has been directly connected to the voluntary night prayer. This shows that those who establish the night voluntary prayer will be blessed with the highest ranks in both worlds. Chapter 17 Al-Isra, verse 79.
And from part of the night, pray with it, i.e. recitation of the Quran as additional worship for you. It is expected that your Lord will resurrect you to a praise station.
A narration found in Jami, at-Tirmizi, number 3579, advises that a Muslim is closest to Allah, the Exalted, in the last part of the night. Therefore, one can derive countless blessings if they remember Allah, the Exalted, at this time. All Muslims desire their supplications to be answered, and their needs to be fulfilled. Therefore, they should strive to offer the voluntary night prayer, as a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 1770, advises that there is a special hour in every night when good supplications are always answered. Establishing the voluntary night prayer is an excellent way to prevent one from committing sins. It helps a person to stay away from pointless social gatherings, and it protects a person from many physical illnesses. This has been advised in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmizi, number 3549. One should prepare for the voluntary night prayer by not overeating or drinking, especially before bed, as it induces laziness. One should not unnecessarily tire themselves out during the day. A short nap during the day can help with this. Finally, one should avoid sins and strive to obey Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, as the obedient find it easier to offer the voluntary night prayer. Finally, the main narration also indicates the importance of never giving up hope, as the door to repentance and success is always open. People are given opportunity every day and night to return to sincerely obeying Allah, the Exalted, so that they can find peace and success in both worlds. One should appreciate the great mercy Allah, the Exalted, shows, as He is not in need of the creation, yet invites them to Himself so that they can succeed. One must take these opportunities before their time runs out, and they are left with nothing except regrets. Strengthening Faith 34. In a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 52, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that if one's spiritual heart is sound, the whole body will become sound, but if their spiritual heart is corrupt, then the whole body will become corrupt. First of all, this narration refutes the foolish belief where one claims to have a purified heart even though their speech and actions are bad. This is because what is inside will eventually manifest outwardly. The purification of the spiritual heart is only possible when one eliminates evil characteristics from themselves and replaces them with good characteristics, discussed in Islamic teachings. This is only possible when one learns and acts on Islamic teachings so that they can sincerely fulfill the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refrain from His prohibitions, and face destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Behaving in this manner will lead to a purified spiritual heart. This purification will then reflect in the outward limbs of the body, such as one's tongue and eyes, meaning they will only use their blessings in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. This is in fact a sign showing the love Allah, the Exalted, has for His righteous servant, according to a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6502. It is important to note that this purification will guide one through all worldly difficulties successfully, so that they achieve peace and success in both worldly and religious matters. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
On the other hand, when one abandons learning and acting on Islamic knowledge, they will adopt the bad characteristics which are advocated by society, social media, culture and fashion. These bad characteristics will encourage them to misuse the blessings they have been granted. This in turn leads to stress and difficulties in both worlds. Chapter 20 Taha, verses 124 to 126.
And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed, i.e. difficult life, and we will gather, i.e. raise him on the day of resurrection blind. He will say, My Lord, why have you raised me blind while I was once seeing? Allah will say, Thus did our signs come to you, and you forgot, i.e. disregarded them, and thus will you this day be forgotten.
And chapter 26 Ash-Shu'ara, verses 88 to 89.
The day when there will not benefit anyone wealth or children, but only one who comes to Allah with a sound heart.
Strengthening Faith 35. In a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 528, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that the 5 obligatory prayers erase one's sins just like taking a bath 5 times a day would clean the body from dirt. The first thing to note is that this narration refers to minor sins only, as major sins require sincere repentance. Sincere repentance involves feeling remorse, seeking the forgiveness of Allah, the Exalted, and those who have been wronged, as long as this does not lead to further problems, promising not to commit the same or similar sin again, and making up for any rights which have been violated in respect to Allah, the Exalted, and people. In addition, it is important for Muslims to not only purify their outer beings of minor sins by establishing the 5 obligatory prayers, but also fulfill the other aspect of purification, namely, inner purification. This is indicated by the fact that the 5 obligatory prayers were spread across the day, instead of being put together. Meaning, a Muslim should repeatedly inwardly turn to Allah, the Exalted, throughout the day, just like their body turns to Allah, the Exalted, 5 times a day, through the obligatory prayers. This inner purification involves correcting one's intention, so that they only perform actions in order to please Allah, the Exalted. This is the foundation of Islam and is what Allah, the Exalted, assesses when judging an action. This has been confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 1. Those who act for the sake of other people will be told to gain their reward from them on Judgment Day, which will not be possible. This has been warned in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 3154. Finally, this inner purification includes learning and acting on the teachings of Islam, so that one removes the bad characteristics they possess, such as envy, and instead adopts good characteristics, such as patience. The outer purification is important, but if a Muslim desires to achieve success and overcome all difficulties in both worlds, they must purify their inner being, as well as their outer being. Inner purification will ensure one speaks and acts in the correct way. It will ensure they use every blessing they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. It will ensure they fulfill the rights of Allah, the Exalted, and people. This leads to peace of mind and success in both worlds. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
On the other hand, avoiding inner purification will prevent one from using the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, even if they fulfill the basic obligatory duties of Islam. It will hinder them from fulfilling all the rights of Allah, the Exalted, and especially the rights of people. This will lead to a difficult and stressful life in both worlds. Chapter 20 Taha, verse 124.
And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed, i.e. difficult life.
Strengthening Faith 36. In a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 4119, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that the best people are those who remind others of Allah, the Exalted, when they are observed. This does not refer to those who adopt an Islamic outward appearance, such as growing a beard or wearing a scarf, as many of these people do not remind others of Allah, the Exalted, at all. This narration refers to those who learn and act on Islamic knowledge so that they sincerely obey Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience according to traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This leads to the purification of one's heart, which leads to the purification of their outward limbs. This has been advised in a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 3984. This will cause others to remember Allah, the Exalted, when they observe the actions of these righteous Muslims, as they use the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, instead of in ways pleasing to themselves and others. And this remembrance will only increase when these righteous Muslims speak, as they only speak in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, meaning they avoid evil and vain speech and only speak on beneficial matters in respect to the world and the hereafter. They love, dislike, give and withhold only for the sake of Allah, the Exalted. This leads to perfecting one's faith, according to a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawud, number 4681, Strengthening Faith 37. In a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawud, number 2511, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, warned of behaving cowardly. This attitude prevents trust in Allah, the Exalted, and in what He has promised, such as one's guaranteed provision. It can cause one to seek their provision in doubtful and unlawful means, which will destroy a person in both worlds. Allah, the Exalted, does not accept any deed which has a foundation in the unlawful. This has been warned in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 2342. Just like the inward foundation of Islam is one's intention, similarly the outward foundation of Islam is obtaining and utilizing the lawful. In addition, being a coward prevents one from striving against the devil and one's inner devil, which requires genuine struggle. This will lead one to fail in obeying Allah, the Exalted, which involves fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. And it will therefore prevent them from fulfilling the rights of people. Both worldly and religious success requires effort and time. A coward will be too afraid to undertake this struggle, and will instead be lazy, which leads to failure in both worldly and religious matters. In addition, a coward will easily claim they are trying their best in obeying Allah, the Exalted, while they are hardly putting in any effort. They claim this, even though the Holy Quran makes it clear that if a person tries their best and acts according to their potential, they will correctly fulfill the rights of Allah, the Exalted, and people. This is because Allah, the Exalted, never gives duties to a person which are beyond their capacity to fulfill. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 286.
Allah does not charge a soul, except with that within its capacity.
Cowardice will also encourage one to aim for the minimum in both religious and worldly matters. They will refrain from fulfilling their potential, as this requires genuine effort. This attitude will only lead to stress and regrets in both worlds. Strengthening Faith 38. In a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 1999, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that Allah, the Exalted, loves beauty. Islam does not prohibit a Muslim from dedicating energy, time and money in beautifying themselves, as this can be considered fulfilling the rights of their body. This has been commanded in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 5199. But the key thing which differentiates acting in this manner to acting in a disliked or even sinful manner is when one is excessive, wasteful or extravagant when beautifying themselves. A good way to determine this is that beautifying oneself should never cause one to neglect fulfilling one's duty to Allah, the Exalted, or people, which is not possible to fulfill without gaining and acting on Islamic knowledge. Nor should beautifying oneself prevent them from using the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. And in reality, correcting one's physical appearance so that they appear clean and smart is not expensive, nor does it take much time or effort. This beautifying attitude applies to all things, such as one's home. As long as one avoids extravagance and waste and continues to use the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, they are free to make things comfortable for themselves in a moderate manner. In addition, it is more important to understand that true beauty which Allah, the Exalted, loves is connected to internal beauty, meaning one's character. This beauty will endure in both worlds, whereas one's outer beauty will eventually fade away with the passing of time. One should therefore prioritize obtaining this true beauty over external beauty by striving to gain and act on Islamic knowledge so that they eliminate any bad traits, such as envy, from their character, and adopt good characteristics, such as generosity. This will aid one in fulfilling the rights of Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and will aid them in fulfilling the rights of people, which includes treating others in a way one wishes people to treat them. Strengthening Faith 39. In a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 2347, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that his true friend is the one who possesses the following characteristics. One of these characteristics is that they have a good share in the prayer. This means they establish their obligatory prayers by fulfilling them correctly with all their conditions and etiquettes, such as offering them on time. This also includes establishing the voluntary prayers, which are based on the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, such as the voluntary night prayer. This is in fact the best prayer, after the obligatory prayers, according to a narration found in Sunan and Nasai, number 1614. A good share in the prayer also includes offering the obligatory prayers with the congregation at a mosque when possible. It is sad to see how many Muslims live in proximity of a mosque yet still do not join the congregation, even when they are free from work. The next thing characteristic mentioned in the main narration under discussion is that this Muslim obeys Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, in public and in private. Doing so in private indicates a person's sincerity to Allah, the Exalted, meaning they only perform righteous deeds for His sake. This is the one who firmly remembers that no matter where they are, the inner and outer aspects of their being is constantly being observed by Allah, the Exalted. If one persists on this belief, they will adopt excellence of faith, which is mentioned in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 99. It means they act, such as performing the prayer, as if they can observe Allah, the Exalted, watching them. This attitude encourages righteous deeds and prevents sins, strengthening faith. 40. In a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 2736, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that whoever knows the 99 names of Allah, the Exalted, will enter paradise. Knowing does not only refer to memorizing them. It actually means to study them and act on them according to one's status and potential. For example, Allah, the Exalted, is the most merciful according to His infinite status. This attribute means that Allah, the Exalted, bestows countless favors on the creation and is always extremely kind to them. This same characteristic has been attributed to others, such as the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Chapter 9 at Tawbah, verse 128.
There has certainly come to you a messenger from among yourselves. Grievous to him is what you suffer. He is concerned over you, i.e., your guidance, and to the believers is kind and merciful.
When used in reference to the creation, merciful means soft-hearted and compassionate. Similarly, Allah, the Exalted, is all-forgiving according to His infinite status. And adopting this attribute by forgiving others, for the sake of Allah, the Exalted, is something which has been encouraged in Islam. Chapter 24 and Nur, verse 22.
And let them pardon and overlook. Would you not like that Allah should forgive you?
So the divine attributes of Allah, the Exalted, can be adopted by Muslims according to their status and potential. Therefore, Muslims must first understand the meaning of the divine attributes and names, and then adopt the meaning of the names in their character through action, until they become firmly rooted into their spiritual heart, so that they can achieve noble character. This noble character will ensure they use the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, as outlined in the teachings of the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This leads to peace and success in both worlds. Chapter 16 and Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
Strengthening faith. 41. In a long divine narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 7405, Allah, the Exalted, advises that He is with anyone who remembers Him. With the rise of mental problems and disorders, such as depression, it is vital for Muslims to understand the importance of this declaration. There is a small chance of a person experiencing a mental issue when they are constantly surrounded and aided by someone that truly loves them. If this is true for a person, it is undoubtedly more befitting for Allah, the Exalted, who has promised to be with the one who remembers Him. Acting on this declaration alone would eliminate mental issues, such as depression. It is the reason why being secluded from others or being amongst others did not affect the mental state of the righteous predecessors, as they were always in the company of Allah, the Exalted. It is obvious that when one obtains the company of Allah, the Exalted, they will overcome all obstacles and difficulties successfully until they reach His proximity in the hereafter. In addition, out of His infinite mercy, Allah, the Exalted, has not restricted this declaration in any way. For example, He did not declare he was only with the righteous or with those who perform specific good deeds. He, in fact, encompassed every Muslim irrespective of the strength of their faith or how many sins they have committed. Therefore, a Muslim should never lose hope in the mercy of Allah, the Exalted. But it is important to note the condition mentioned in this narration, namely, to remember Allah, the Exalted. This remembrance includes correcting one's intention so that they only act to please Allah, the Exalted, and therefore do not expect nor hope for any gratitude from people. Remembrance with the tongue involves speaking what is good or remaining silent. And the highest level of remembrance is to use the blessings one has been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This is the true remembrance of Allah, the Exalted. The one who behaves in such a manner will be blessed with the company and support of Allah, the Exalted. Simply put, the more one obeys and remembers Allah, the Exalted, the more they will receive His company. What one gives is what they shall receive. The next thing mentioned in the main narration under discussion is that whoever remembers Allah, the Exalted, privately will be remembered by Him privately. And whoever remembers Allah, the Exalted, publicly meaning in a gathering, will be remembered by Allah, the Exalted, in a better gathering meaning amongst the heavenly angels. This, like many other examples found within the Holy Quran and the narrations of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, indicates a basic teaching of Islam, namely, what one gives is what they shall receive. Another example, which confirms this narration, is found in chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 152.
So remember me, I will remember you.
A narration found in Jami, at-Tirmidhi, number 1924, advises that the one who shows mercy to the creation will be shown mercy by the Creator. Generally speaking, in this material world a person receives things according to their efforts. Yet strangely, some expect to obtain the high ranks of paradise without any effort. These teachings clearly show that a Muslim will receive blessings and mercy based on their efforts. The more obedient they are to Allah, the Exalted, as outlined earlier, the more they will receive in return. There is no doubt that Allah, the Exalted, can give whatever He wants to whomever He wants, irrespective of how much or little they strive in His obedience. But Allah, the Exalted, has set up a system which must be followed, namely, striving in His obedience in order to obtain more blessings and mercy. Therefore, each Muslim must reflect and decide how much mercy and blessings of Allah, the Exalted, they desire, and then strive in the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, accordingly. This reality is clearly described in the final part of this narration, where Allah, the Exalted, indicates that the more one strives in achieving His proximity, through his sincere obedience, the more of His mercy they shall receive. Strengthening Faith 42. In a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6412, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, warned that there are two blessings people often do not appreciate until they lose them, namely, good health and free time. Good health is a special blessing, as it allows a person to take advantage of gaining other blessings related to the world and religion. One of the wisdoms behind minor illnesses is that they should inspire a Muslim to be grateful for good health. True gratitude is when one uses the blessings they possess, in this case good health, in the correct way as prescribed by Islam. One should observe those who have lost their good health, either through sickness or through aging, and therefore make use of the good health they possess by striving to gain success in worldly and religious matters, while giving priority to religion over the material world. For example, one should use their good health to journey to the mosques in order to offer their prayers with congregation before a time comes when they desire to do this, but do not possess the physical strength to do so. They should keep voluntary fasts, especially during the short days of winter, before they lose their good health. They should strive to offer the voluntary night prayer regularly, as it is the best voluntary prayer, according to a narration found in Sunan and Nasai, number 1614. The amazing thing about utilizing one's health correctly is that when they eventually lose it, Allah, the Exalted, will continue to grant them the same reward they used to receive when doing good deeds during their good health. This has been advised in a narration found in Imam Bukhari's Adab al-Mufrad, number 500. But those who live in heedlessness will fail to utilize their good health, and therefore receive no reward during their good health or when they fall sick. One aspect of appreciating and showing true gratitude for good health is to help those who have lost their good health according to one's means, such as emotional or financial help. It is important to regularly ponder over the sick, as this will inspire one to use their good health correctly. Finally, those who utilize their good health correctly will be supported by Allah, the Exalted, during their periods of sickness. Whereas, those who do not, will not receive this support, and will therefore become impatient when facing sickness. This negative attitude will only lead to further trouble for them, and cause them to lose out on much reward. Everything in this material can be bought, even through illegal means, except time. It is the single blessing which does not return after it leaves a person. Even though this reality is not denied by anyone irrespective of their faith yet, many Muslims do not appreciate and make good use of the time they have been given. Many have adopted the mentality that they will prepare for the hereafter tomorrow. But as each day passes, this tomorrow keeps getting delayed until, in many cases, this tomorrow never comes. And they only realize this tomorrow when it is too late, meaning at the time of their death. Those who are fortunate enough to reach this tomorrow during their lives may inhabit the mosques when they reach elderly age, but as they have dedicated so much time and energy to the material world, their bodies might be in mosques yet. Their hearts and tongues are still engrossed in the material world. This is obvious to those who regularly attend mosques. These Muslims are unlikely to learn and act on Islamic teachings because of their elderly age and their worldly mentalities. So they may attend the mosques, yet continue to misuse the blessings they have been granted. In addition, with the passing of time, in most cases, one's responsibilities only increase, such as marriage and raising children. So delaying preparing for the hereafter until one is supposedly more free is simply foolish. Islam does not teach Muslims to abandon the world, but it does encourage them to make correct use of their time by taking enough from the material world in order to fulfill their necessities and responsibilities without extravagance or waste, and then dedicate the rest of their efforts to preparing for the permanent hereafter. They should minimize using their time on sinful and vain things, things which will not benefit them in this world or the next, and dedicate more of their time and resources to those things which will benefit them in both worlds. This is how one uses their time correctly. How many Muslims can honestly say they dedicate the majority of their efforts to preparing for the eternal hereafter over beautifying their temporal world? Strengthening Faith 43. In a long narration found in Jami' at-Tirmizi, number 2616, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, described some important deeds which Muslims must strive to perform. The Holy Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, described fasting as a shield. In another narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 1639, he explains this further by advising that fasting is a shield against fire, just like a shield protects a person in a fight. This could mean that fasting is a protection against the fire of difficulties one faces in this world, and the fire of hell they will encounter in the next. In addition, fasting is a shield against the disobedience of Allah, the Exalted, as the Holy Quran has declared fasting a means to obtaining righteousness, and an aspect of this is refraining from the disobedience Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 183.
O you who have believed, decreed upon you is fasting as it was decreed upon those before you, that you may become righteous.
But it is important to note, fasting acts as a shield as long as one does not damage their fast through evil speech or actions. This has been indicated in a narration found in Sunan and Nasai, number 2235. It is why the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has warned the fasting person not to behave indecently or quarrel with others in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 1894. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has warned in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmizi, number 707, that Allah, the Exalted, does not desire one to leave their food and drink if they fail to abstain from foul speech and actions. This behavior clearly contradicts the aim of fasting. In reality, a fast should affect every organ of one's body, not just their stomach, by safeguarding them from sins. A Muslim should therefore fulfill all the etiquettes and conditions of a fast by fulfilling their duties and abstaining from sins, so that they can implement this behavior all year round, even when they are not fasting. This is a real fast which leads to piety, and a protection from the difficulties of this world and the fire of hell in the next. The next thing mentioned in the main narration highlights the importance of the voluntary night prayer. This narration indicates that it erases sins just like charity does. The voluntary night prayer has countless virtues. For example, a narration found in Sunan and Nasai, number 1614, declares that it is the best voluntary prayer. The night is when Allah, the Exalted, descends to the heavens of this world, according to His infinite dignity, and invites people towards His forgiveness and mercy. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6321. No one will have a rank higher on Judgment Day or in paradise than the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and this rank has been directly connected to the night prayer. This shows that those who establish the night voluntary prayer will be blessed with the highest ranks in both worlds. Chapter 17 Al-Isra, verse 79.
And from part of the night, pray with it, i.e., recitation of the Quran as additional worship for you. It is expected that your Lord will resurrect you to a praise station.
All Muslims desire their supplications to be answered and their needs to be fulfilled. Therefore, they should strive to offer the voluntary night prayer as the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has advised in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 1770, that there is a special hour in every night when good supplications are always answered. Establishing the night prayer is an excellent way to prevent one from committing sins, as it helps them to avoid pointless social gatherings, and it protects one from many physical illnesses also. This has been advised in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 3549. One should prepare for the night prayer by not overeating or drinking, especially before bed, as it induces laziness. One should not unnecessarily tire themselves during the day. A short nap during the day can help with this. Finally, one should strive to obey Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, as the obedient find it easier to offer the voluntary night prayer. Another thing mentioned in the main narration under discussion is that the central pillar of Islam is establishing the obligatory prayers. Establishing the obligatory prayers means to fulfill all its etiquettes and conditions correctly, such as offering them on time. It is the most important obligatory duty on each Muslim, and without it, success in this world or the next is virtually unobtainable. This has been made clear in many verses and narrations of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, such as the one found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 2618. It clearly warns that establishing the prayers separates belief from disbelief. Those who fail to establish the prayers are at risk of leaving this world without their faith, which is the greatest loss. As Allah, the Exalted, does not burden a person beyond their limits, no Muslim has an excuse for not establishing their prayers. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 286.
Allah does not charge a soul except with that within its capacity.
Failing to establish the obligatory prayers while claiming to try one's best contradicts this truth. And there is no doubt that the Holy Quran is the truth. As the obligatory prayers are the central pillar of Islam, it indicates that if one fails to establish them, their house of Islam will collapse, irrespective of what other good deeds they do. The obligatory prayers cannot be replaced by any other deed or internal belief. In fact, the obligatory prayers are the most important practical proof of one's internal belief. Without this practical proof, one is unlikely to obtain success in this world or the next. Chapter 20 Taha, verse 14.
Establish prayer for my remembrance.
And chapter 20 Taha, verses 124 to 126.
And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed, i.e. difficult life, and we will gather, i.e. raise him on the day of resurrection blind. He will say, My Lord, why have you raised me blind while I was once seeing? Allah will say, Thus did our signs come to you, and you forgot, i.e. disregarded them, and thus will you this day be forgotten.
Strengthening Faith 44. I had a thought which I wanted to share. I was pondering over the verse of the Holy Quran found in chapter 47 Muhammad, verse 7.
O you who have believed, if you support Allah, He will support you and plant firmly your feet.
This verse means that if one aids Islam, then Allah, the Exalted, will help them in both worlds. It is strange how countless people desire the help of Allah, the Exalted, yet do not fulfill the first part of this verse through the sincere obedience of Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience. The excuse most people give is that they do not have time to perform righteous deeds. They desire the help of Allah, the Exalted, yet will not make time to do the things which please Him. Does this make sense? Those who do not fulfill the obligatory duties and then expect the aid of Allah, the Exalted, in their moment of need are quite foolish. And those who do fulfill the obligatory duties, yet refuse to go beyond them, will find that the aid they receive is limited. How one behaves is how they are treated. The more time and energy dedicated to Allah, the Exalted, the more support they will receive. It really is that simple. A Muslim needs to understand that the majority of the obligatory duties, such as the 5 daily prayers, only takes a small amount of time in one's day. A Muslim cannot expect to barely dedicate an hour a day to offering the obligatory prayers, and then neglect Allah, the Exalted, for the rest of the day, and still expect His continuous support through all difficulties. A person would dislike a friend who treated them in such a manner. How then can one treat Allah, the Exalted, the Lord of the worlds, like this then? Some only dedicate extra time to pleasing Allah, the Exalted, when they encounter a worldly problem, then demand Him to fix it as if they done Allah, the Exalted, a favor by performing voluntary good deeds. This foolish mentality clearly contradicts servanthood to Allah, the Exalted. It is amazing how this type of person finds time to do all their other leisurely activities, such as spending time with family and friends, watching TV, and attending social functions, yet finds no time to dedicate to pleasing Allah, the Exalted. They cannot seem to find time to recite and adopt the teachings of the Holy Quran. They do not seem to find time to study and act on the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. These people somehow find wealth to spend on their unnecessary luxuries, yet seem to find no wealth to donate in voluntary charity. It is important to understand that a Muslim will be treated according to how they behave. Meaning, if a Muslim dedicates extra time to please Allah, the Exalted, then they will find the support they need to journey through all difficulties safely. But if they fail to fulfill the obligatory duties or only fulfill them without dedicating any other time to pleasing Allah, the Exalted, then they will find a similar response from Allah, the Exalted. Put simply, the more one gives, the more they shall receive. If one does not give much, they should not expect much in return. Strengthening Faith 45. I had a thought which I wanted to share. I was pondering over the companions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, may Allah be pleased with them, and what made them the best group ever created after the Holy Prophets, peace be upon them. The fact they physically observed the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, during his lifetime, is definitely one factor. But anyone who knows about their life and their righteous deeds understands that their superiority is due to more than just this unique and great deed. One of the main reasons for their superiority is shown in a narration involving the companion Abdullah bin Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, which is found in Sahih Muslim, number 6515. Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, was once riding on his conveyance in the desert when he came across a Bedouin. Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, greeted the Bedouin, placed his turban on the Bedouin's head, and insisted that the Bedouin ride on his conveyance. Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, was told that the greeting he gave the Bedouin was more than enough, as the Bedouin would have been greatly pleased at the fact that the great companion of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, may Allah be pleased with him, greeted him. Yet Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, went much further than this and showed the Bedouin great respect. Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, replied that he only did this because the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, once advised that one of the best ways a person can honor their parent is by showing love and respect to their parents' relatives and friends. Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, added that the Bedouin's father was a friend of his father, the commander of the faithful, Umar bin Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him. This incident indicates the superiority of the companions, may Allah be pleased with them. They completely submitted to the teachings of Islam. They not only fulfilled the obligatory duties and avoided all sins, but completely fulfilled all acts which were recommended to them to the highest possible degree. Their submission caused them to put aside their own desires and only act to please Allah, the Exalted. Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, could have easily ignored the better one, as none of the actions he done were obligatory, yet, unlike many Muslims who would use this excuse, he completely submitted to the teachings of Islam and acted the way he did. It is the lack of submission to the teachings of Islam which has weakened the faith of Muslims. Some only fulfill the obligatory duties and turn away from other righteous deeds, such as voluntary charity, which contradict their desires by claiming the actions are not obligatory. All Muslims desire to end up with the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and his companions, may Allah be pleased with them, in the hereafter. But how is this possible if they do not follow their path or way? If a Muslim follows a path other than theirs, then how can they end up with them? To end up with them, one must follow their path. But this is only possible if one completely submits to the teachings of Islam like they did, instead of cherry-picking the deeds which suit their desires. Strengthening Faith 46. I had a thought which I wanted to share. I was pondering over the following verse of the Holy Quran, chapter 41 Fussilat, verse 53.
We will show them our signs in the horizons and within themselves until it becomes clear to them that it is the truth.
All Muslims have faith in Islam, but the strength of their faith varies from person to person. For example, the one who follows the teachings of Islam because their family told them to, is not the same as the one who believes in it through evidence. A person who has heard about something will not believe in it in the same way as the one who has witnessed the thing with their own eyes. As confirmed in a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 224, gaining useful knowledge is a duty on all Muslims. One of the reasons for this is that it is the best way a Muslim can strengthen their faith in Islam. This is important to pursue, as the stronger one's certainty of faith, the greater the chance they will remain steadfast on the correct path, especially when facing difficulties. In addition, having certainty of faith has been described as one of the best things one can possess in a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 3849. This knowledge should be obtained by studying the Holy Quran and the narration of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, through a reliable source. Allah, the Exalted, did not only declare a truth in the Holy Quran, but he also provided evidence for it through examples. Not only examples which are to be found in the past nations, but examples which have been placed in one's very own life. For example, in the Holy Quran, Allah, the Exalted, advises that sometimes a person loves a thing, even though it will cause them trouble if they obtained it. Similarly, they might hate a thing while there is much hidden good in it for them. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 216.
But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows while you know not.
There are many examples of this truth in history, such as the Pact of Hudaybah. Some Muslims believe this pact, which was made with the non-Muslims of Mecca, would completely favor the latter group. Yet, history clearly shows that it favored Islam and the Muslims. This event is discussed in the narrations found in Sahih Bukhari, numbers 2731 and 2732. If one reflects on their own life, they will find many examples when they believed something was good when it was actually bad for them, and vice versa. These examples prove the authenticity of this verse and help one's faith strengthen. Another example is found in chapter 79 and Naziat, verse 46.
It will be, on the day they see it, Judgment Day, as though they had not remained in the world, except for an afternoon or a morning thereof.
If one turns the pages of history, they will clearly observe how great empires came and went. But when they left, they passed away in such a way, as if they were only on earth for a moment. All but a few of their signs have faded away, as if they were never present on earth in the first place. Similarly, when one reflects on their own life, they will realize that no matter how old they are, and no matter how slow certain days might have felt, overall their life so far has passed in a flash. Understanding the truthfulness of this verse strengthens one's certainty of faith, and this inspires them to prepare for the hereafter, before their time runs out. The Holy Quran and the narration of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, are full of such examples. Therefore, one should strive to learn and act on these divine teachings, so that they adopt certainty of faith. The one who achieves this will not be shaken by any difficulty they face, and will remain steadfast on the path which leads to the gates of paradise. Strengthening Faith 47. I had a thought which I wanted to share. There are many Muslims who desire lawful things, such as a child, and instead of being content with what Allah, the Exalted, chose for them, they instead pursue their desires in lawful ways, such as spiritual exercises, based on the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, which is obviously permissible in Islam. Yet, after all this effort and stress, they do not understand nor act on a simple but profound teaching of Islam, which would aid them in their quest. In fact, they often act in certain ways which only reduces the chances of their request being fulfilled. For example, a Muslim does not need to be a scholar to understand that it is less likely for a Muslim to obtain what they desire, if the mercy of Allah, the Exalted, is removed from them. For example, this can occur when one lies in order to make others laugh. In fact, this person has been cursed 3 times in one narration found in Jami' at-Tirmizi, number 2315. A curse results in the removal of the mercy of Allah, the Exalted. Some of these Muslims who desperately desire things from Allah, the Exalted, also backbite and slander others. This also leads to the removal of the mercy of Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 104 Al-Humazah, verse 1.
Woe to every slanderer and backbiter.
There are many other examples which lead to the removal of the mercy of Allah, the Exalted, which in turn dramatically reduces the chances of one's request being fulfilled. Muslims should therefore act on this important principle, by seeking and acting on knowledge before seeking other means such as spiritual exercises, in order to fulfill their lawful desires, as these things will not aid them in fulfilling their requests until they correct their behavior. Strengthening Faith 48. I had a thought which I wanted to share. I was pondering over a powerful weapon and trap of the devil, which can affect every Muslim irrespective of the strength of their faith. The devil tries to convince Muslims to always observe those who are worse than them in behavior, in order to justify their lack of striving in the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, and improving their character and behavior for the better. For example, a Muslim who offers their obligatory prayers once in a while will observe someone who does not pray at all in order to make themselves feel better. A thief will look at a murderer and convince themselves stealing is not so bad. The examples are endless. It is very strange how these Muslims so easily observe those who appear worse than them in order to justify their lack of effort in obeying Allah, the Exalted. But these same people will not observe those who are in a worse off position than them when they face difficulties. For example, the person who suffers from back pain will not observe the one who is physically disabled so that it prevents them from complaining. This attitude has specifically been advised by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmizi, number 2513. In addition, if observing those who appear worse in their behavior does not save one from punishment in a worldly court, such as a thief being pardoned by a judge because there are many murderers in the world, how can one imagine this excuse will hold up in the court of Allah, the Exalted? Muslims should therefore avoid this trap of the devil by observing those who appear better than them, so that they are inspired to improve their character and behavior progressively for the pleasure of Allah, the Exalted. This is what Allah, the Exalted, demands, meaning, He does not demand perfection. Strengthening Faith 49. I had a thought which I wanted to share. Muslims often question how they can mold their life to fit their faith instead of molding their faith in order to fit their worldly life. One of the ways of achieving this is by always performing the obligatory prayers as soon as they occur for women, and to offer the obligatory prayers at the mosques for men. As establishing the prayers is the main pillar of Islam, which has been advised in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmizi, number 2616. When one performs it as described, it forces them to arrange their worldly activities so that they fit around their obligatory prayers. Whereas, when one either offers their obligatory prayers late or at home instead of the mosque, it becomes easy to fit the obligatory prayers around one's worldly timetable, which in turn causes them to mold their faith around their worldly life. The correct attitude will also prevent one from indulging in unnecessary and vain activities, such as visiting the shopping centers unnecessarily, as these often prevent a Muslim from offering their obligatory prayers on time or at the mosque. Avoiding these unnecessary things and activities allows one to mold their life around their religion. In addition, as offering the obligatory prayers on time is one of the most beloved deeds to Allah, the Exalted, according to a narration found in Sunan and Nasai, number 611, a Muslim should adhere to this habit and not postpone offering their obligatory prayers without an extremely good reason, which only occurs very rarely. If one desires to mold their life around their faith, then they must fulfill their obligatory prayers on time as soon as they happen, for women and men should fulfill them at the mosque with congregation. This will ensure they prioritize preparing for the hereafter, without becoming distracted by the excess of this material world. Strengthening Faith 50. I had a thought which I wanted to share. Muslims often have periods within their lives where they exert themselves by increasing the amount of worship they perform. This often happens in the holy month of Ramadan, where Muslims decide to change their lives around by striving much harder than normal. The issue with exerting too much effort in a short period of time is that it often leads to one giving up and returning back to normal. First of all, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has warned Muslims in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 43, not to overburden themselves and only perform voluntary deeds which they can handle. He concluded by declaring that the most beloved of deeds to Allah, the Exalted, are the ones done regularly irrespective of their size. Muslims should therefore adhere to this advice, as it is more likely they keep up their obedience over a longer period of time. In reality, the important time is not the period where one feels a spiritual high and exerts extra effort. The important time is when one returns back to normal, as spiritual highs very rarely last. Muslims must ensure that no matter how much they return from a spiritual high, they must continue fulfilling their obligatory duties. Then they should dedicate some time to learning and acting on the established traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Changing step by step like this is much better than exerting extra effort over a short period of time, and there is a greater chance that one will maintain their improved obedience to Allah, the Exalted, in the long term if they change gradually, step by step. No one is demanding Muslims to become saints overnight. Improvement takes time, but this means that one should not stand still and actually take small but regular steps to improve their obedience to Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience. Strengthening Faith 51. I had a thought which I wanted to share. It is important to understand that no matter how much religious knowledge one obtains, or how much worship and righteous deeds they perform, they will never be safe from the attacks and traps of the devil. This is because the devil attacks each person according to how much knowledge they possess, and how much righteous deeds they perform. For example, he will try to convince the Muslim who is strict in offering their obligatory prayers not to offer them in congregation at the mosque, or by convincing them to delay their obligatory prayers beyond their starting times, as he knows he will not be able to convince them to completely abandon the obligatory prayers. Whereas, in respect to the Muslim who is struggling to establish their obligatory prayers, he will attempt to convince them that they are too difficult to establish, therefore they should only offer them when they are completely free. He tries to convince those who perform many voluntary righteous deeds not to gain and act on Islamic knowledge, in order to improve their character, so that they continue to destroy their good deeds through bad characteristics such as lying and backbiting. The devil aims to prevent a person from reaching a higher level if he cannot convince them to fall in rank through disobedience to Allah, the Exalted. Therefore, Muslims should always be on guard against his attacks and traps by persistently striving to increase in rank, improve their character, and avoid acts of disobedience, which is all achieved by gaining and acting on Islamic knowledge. Strengthening Faith 52. I had a thought which I wanted to share. Even though the number of Muslims have increased over time, it is obvious that the strength of Muslims has only decreased. Each Muslim, irrespective of the strength of their faith, believes in the authenticity of the Holy Quran, as doubting it would cause them to lose their faith. In the following verse, Allah, the Exalted, has given the key to obtaining superiority and success, which would remove the weakness and grief Muslims are experiencing all around the world. Chapter 3, Ali Imran, verse 139.
So do not weaken and do not grieve, and you will be superior if you are true believers.
Allah, the Exalted, has made it clear that Muslims only need to become true believers in order to achieve this superiority and success in both worlds. True belief involves fulfilling the commands of Allah, the Exalted, refraining from his prohibitions and facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This includes the duties towards Allah, the Exalted, and those towards people, such as loving for others what one loves for themselves, which has been advised in a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 2515. This requires one to learn and act on Islamic teachings. Through this attitude was success and superiority granted to the companions, may Allah be pleased with them. And if Muslims desire to achieve it, then they must return to this rightly guided attitude. As Muslims believe in the Holy Quran, they should understand this simple teaching and act on it. Strengthening Faith 53. I had a thought which I wanted to share. Unfortunately, some Muslims have adopted a weak characteristic which only hinders them from improving for the better. Namely, they compare their situation and circumstances to others who are facing easier circumstances, and use this as an excuse not to increase their obedience to Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. For example, a person who works full-time excuses their lack of striving in the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, by comparing themselves to someone who works part-time and simply claims it is easier for them to increase their obedience to Allah, the Exalted, as they have more free time. Or a poorer Muslim turns away from giving any form of charity by observing those who possess more wealth, and claims that the wealthy person can more easily give charity than them. They fail to understand that these excuses may make their souls feel better, but it does not aid them in this world or in the next. Allah, the Exalted, does not desire people to act according to the means of others. He only desires people to act in His obedience according to their own means. For example, a person who works full-time can dedicate whatever free time they possess in the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, even if that is less than someone who works part-time. In this respect, what the part-timer does has no effect on the one who works full-time, so using them as an excuse not to strive harder is simply a lame excuse. The poor Muslim should simply donate according to their means, even if that is much less than the wealthy person, as Allah, the Exalted, will judge them on what they do, and He will not judge them according to what other Muslims do. Muslims should give up these useless excuses and simply obey Allah, the Exalted, according to their own means. Strengthening Faith 54. I had a thought which I wanted to share. If a person was hired for a specific job, such as painting a house, they are highly unlikely to receive their wages if they decide to do another duty, such as hoovering the house. Even though what they decided to do is not bad, but as they have chosen to do a job they were not hired for, they will undoubtedly displease their employer. This is simple to understand and accept. Similarly, a Muslim has been commanded to fulfill the commands set out in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. But if they decide to do something else and neglect this duty irrespective of if the thing they decide to do is lawful, such as pursuing the excess of this material world beyond their needs, doing actions which are different from what have been prescribed in the two divine sources, or simply unlawful, they should not expect to please Allah, the Exalted, as He has made it clear what Muslims should be doing. The same way an employee who decides to do something different should not expect to receive their wages, neither should a Muslim who decides to strive for anything other than what they have been told to strive for by Allah, the Exalted. The wages in the case of the Muslim include blessings, mercy, and the forgiveness of Allah, the Exalted, in both worlds. Simply put, if a Muslim desires to obtain these wages, they must do their job and not busy themselves with other things which either contradicts their duty or things which are different from their duty. Strengthening Faith 55. I had a thought which I wanted to share. There are many Muslims who dedicate much of their time, effort and wealth on things which are neither righteous deeds nor sins, meaning they are vain things. Vain things can also include acquiring unnecessary things, such as beautifying one's home beyond their necessities. Even though they might be correct in their claim that they are not committing sins, it is important to understand a fact. Namely, time is a precious gift from Allah, the Exalted, which cannot be gained once it departs. All other things can be acquired, such as wealth, all other things except time. So when one dedicates their time as well as other blessings such as wealth to unnecessary and extra things, meaning vain things, it will only lead to a great regret on Judgment Day. This will occur when they observe the reward given to those who made use of their time and performed righteous deeds. Time wasters may have avoided sins which saved them from punishment, but as they wasted time on vain things, they may face criticism. And they will surely lose out on the reward they could have gained if they utilize their time and other blessings correctly. In addition, it is important to understand that the more one indulges in vain things, the closer they are to falling into extravagance and waste, both of which are blameworthy. For example, those who waste blessings are considered the siblings of the devil. And it can be argued, when one dedicates their time to vain things, they have in fact wasted the precious blessing of time. Chapter 17 Al-Isra, verse 27.
Indeed, the wasteful are brothers of the devils.
Strengthening Faith 56. I had a thought which I wanted to share. I was pondering over the following verse of the Holy Quran, chapter 29 Al-Ankabut, verse 38.
And Satan had made pleasing to them their deeds, and averted them from the path.
As mentioned in this verse, the devil fools people into committing sins and making wrong decisions by beautifying the incorrect choice for them. This occurs in situations when a person must make a choice between two or more options. It also occurs when the choice is between the lawful and unlawful, and even between two lawful options. If the devil cannot guide someone to a sin, then he attempts to guide them to the inferior option, even if it is lawful, hoping it will lead to some sort of a sin, such as a person complaining about life and destiny. The devil beautifies a choice by causing one to focus on its apparent benefit to such a degree that they lose focus on the bigger picture and the consequences of the choice. An adult then behaves like a child who makes choices without reflecting over the consequences of their actions. This is one of the main reasons why people commit sins. In reality, if one truly reflected on the punishment of sins, they would never commit them. Something which helps in situations like this is to mentally take a step back and assess the options by comparing their long-term benefits and harms. Only when the lawful benefits of something outweighs the harm should a person proceed. The other thing which helps is to deeply reflect on the consequences of the potential options. Some choices might be lawful, but if one goes ahead with them, it may make their life difficult in the long run. For example, sometimes people rush into marriage with someone they apparently love. They base their decision solely on their feelings instead of reflecting on other more important aspects. For example, if their potential future spouse will make a good life partner or a good parent, and if they will help them in their obedience to Allah, the Exalted. Many marriages have ended in divorce because the couple did not reflect on the long-term implications of a potential marriage. Many people often claim their spouse was very different before they got married, but in most cases they have not changed at all. The truth is that before marriage they did not spend so much time with them, so they did not observe certain characteristics which became obvious after marriage. Some often rush into action and later have regrets, as their choice caused them more trouble, and in many cases the issue was not a big deal in the first place. This type of action can only be avoided when one reflects on the situation and observes the bigger picture, meaning the wider and long-term implications and consequences of taking a step forward. One should not only assess if something is lawful or unlawful before making a decision. Even though this is the most important thing to consider, yet it is not the only thing. As many lawful incorrect choices, which are beautified by the devil, can lead to trouble further on in life. To sum up, before making any choice, a person must take a step back and reflect deeply over its lawfulness and its potential long-term benefits and harms under the guidance of the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Whoever acts like this will rarely make a wrong choice they later regret. Strengthening Faith 57. I had a thought which I wanted to share. I was pondering over the fact that every Muslim openly declares that they desire the companionship of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, the other holy prophets, peace be upon him them, and the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, in the hereafter. They often quote the narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 3688, which advises that a person will be with those they love in the hereafter. And because of this, they openly declare their love for these righteous servants of Allah, the Exalted. But it is strange how they desire this outcome and claim love for the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, yet they barely know him as they are too busy to study his life, character and teachings. This is foolish, as how can one truly love someone they do not even know? In addition, when these people are asked for proof of their love for the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, on Judgment Day, what will they say? What will they present? The proof of this declaration is studying and acting on the life, character and teachings of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. A declaration without this evidence will not be accepted by Allah, the Exalted. This is quite obvious, as no one understood Islam better than the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, did, and this was not their attitude. They declared love for the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and supported their claim through actions by following in his footsteps. This is why they will be with him in the hereafter. Those who believe love is in the heart and does not require it to be shown through actions, is as foolish as the student who hands back a blank exam paper to their teacher, claiming that knowledge is in their mind, so they do not need to practically write it down on paper, and then still expects to pass. The one who behaves in such a manner does not love the righteous servants of Allah, the Exalted, only their own desires, and they have undoubtedly been fooled by the devil. Finally, it is important to note that members of other religions also claim love for their holy prophets, peace be upon them. But as they failed to follow in their footsteps and act on their teachings, they will certainly not be with them on Judgment Day. This is quite obvious if one ponders over this fact for a moment. Strengthening Faith 58. I had a thought which I wanted to share. It is important for Muslims to understand a simple yet profound lesson, namely, they will never succeed in this world or the next in worldly or religious matters, through the disobedience of Allah, the Exalted. Since the dawn of time to this age and till the end of time, no person has ever achieved true success, nor will they ever through the disobedience of Allah, the Exalted. This is quite obvious when one turns the pages of history. Therefore, when a Muslim is in a situation which they desire to achieve a positive and successful outcome from, they should never choose to disobey Allah, the Exalted, irrespective of how tempting or easy it may seem to be. Even if one is advised by their close friends and relatives to do so, as there is no obedience to the creation if it means disobedience to the Creator. And in truth, they will never be able to protect them from Allah, the Exalted, and His punishment in either this world or the next. The same way Allah, the Exalted, grants success to those who obey Him, He removes a successful outcome from those who disobey Him, even if this removal takes time to witness. A Muslim should not be fooled, as this will occur sooner or later. The Holy Quran has made it extremely clear that an evil plan or action only encompasses the doer, even if this punishment is delayed. Chapter 35 Fatir, verse 43.
But the evil plot does not encompass except its own people.
Therefore, no matter how difficult the situation and choice, Muslims should always choose the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, in both worldly and religious matters, as this alone will lead to true success in both worlds, even if this success is not obvious immediately. Strengthening Faith 59. I had a thought which I wanted to share. It is commonly observed that in the special days and nights of the Islamic year, such as the Night of Power, which is considered to be on the 27th night of the Islamic month of Ramadan, according to a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 1386, Muslims come out in drones and inhabit the mosques or pray more at home. Even though this is a good thing, it is important to understand that a Muslim should not only behave in this manner on the special days and nights of the Islamic year. They should instead respect each day and night throughout the whole year, by fulfilling their duties in them without neglect. They should never believe the worship of one day or night in the year will make up for their neglect of the rest of year, as this is completely untrue and a trick of the devil. Being a Muslim is a 24/7 duty. It is not a duty which extends only on certain days and nights. Meaning, a Muslim must fulfill their duties in respect to Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, face destiny with patience and fulfill the rights of people every day of their life according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Cherry-picking certain days and nights is a major reason why Muslims feel disconnected from Allah, the Exalted, as they only turn to Him occasionally. The truth is simple: what Muslims dedicate to Allah, the Exalted, is what they will receive in return. If they only dedicate a few days or nights in the year to Him, then they should not expect a great return. Islam does not demand one to pray all night. Instead, it demands Muslims to fulfill their obligatory duties and as much of the established traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, as possible. This does not take much time up, and leaves one with plenty of time to do other things as well. In reality, the one who does not respect every day and night by fulfilling their duties in them will find that even the special days and nights are just ordinary days and nights for them. But the one who respects every day and night will find that every day and night is like the special days and nights, like the night of power, for them. Meaning Allah, the Exalted, will bless them just like He blesses them on the special days and nights in the Islamic year. Strengthening Faith 60. I read a news article a while ago, which I wanted to briefly discuss. It reported on the issue of widespread corruption, and how it has infected every social level in most countries. Widespread corruption is quite evident and needs no deep investigation or research to prove its existence. In some cases it occurs out in the open. One of the reasons corruption spreads throughout society, to the point that even top government officials are involved in it, is a direct result of the general public becoming corrupt. When ordinary people mistreat others through physical or financial means, thereby disobeying Allah, the Exalted, believing no one can hold them accountable, then as a punishment, Allah, the Exalted, appoints them corrupt leaders and government officials. Meaning, how one acts is how they are treated. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, once warned in a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 4019, that when the general public cheat each other financially, Allah, the Exalted, punishes them by appointing them oppressive leaders. One aspect of this oppression is corruption, which causes the general public great distress. The same narration warns that when the general public break their covenant of sincere obedience to Allah, the Exalted, then they will be overpowered by their enemies, who will confiscate their wealth and property. Again, this is an aspect of corruption where people of influence, such as government officials, freely take the belongings of others without any fear of the consequences. When the general public becomes corrupt, then their leaders and other people in influential social positions are inspired to act in the same way, believing that this behavior is accepted by the general public. This leads to corruption on a national level. But if the general public obeyed Allah, the Exalted, by not mistreating others through corruption, then their leaders and those in an influential social position would not dare act in a corrupt way, full well knowing the general public would not stand for it. And according to the narration quoted earlier, if the general public remain obedient to Allah, the Exalted, He would protect them from corrupt officials by appointing people into influential positions who are just in their affairs. Instead of taking the immature path of blaming others for the widespread corruption, Muslims should truly reflect on their own behavior and, if necessary, adjust their attitude. Otherwise, corruption in society will only increase with time. No one should believe that as they are not in an influential social position, they have no effect on the corruption which occurs in society. As explained earlier, corruption occurs because of the behavior of the general public, and it therefore can only be removed by the good behavior of the general public. Chapter 13 Ar-Rad, verse 11.
Indeed, Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves.
Strengthening Faith 61. I read a news article a while ago, which I wanted to briefly discuss. It reported on a person who did not respect their national anthem, which was labeled unpatriotic by some. In reality, a true patriot to Allah, the Exalted, and one's nation, is not refusing to stand during a national anthem or saluting a flag. A true patriot is the one who supports others, such as their government, in things which are beneficial and praiseworthy in respect to Islam, irrespective of who is organizing or responsible for it, and who constructively criticizes others, such as their government, when they do something blameworthy in the sight of Islam, irrespective of who orchestrated it. This criticism must be constructive within the limits of the law, while avoiding all forms of vain or vulgar speech and actions. It should never lead to rebellion, as this only leads to the harm of innocent people, which history has clearly shown time and time again. It is important to note that each Muslim can behave in this manner, even if they are not in a position of political or social influence. Each person can behave like a true patriot in respect to others, especially their relatives, by behaving in the manner outlined earlier, meaning supporting good and kindly forbidding evil according to the teachings of Islam. Chapter 5 Al-Ma'idah, verse 2.
And cooperate in righteousness and piety, but do not cooperate in sin and aggression.
If each family unit behaved in such a manner, it would undoubtedly affect each town, city, and eventually the nation, until a true improvement occurs, which in turn benefits all irrespective of their faith. This good intention, and supporting it with sincere actions to improve a nation in this way, is true patriotism. Everything else is only a meaningless show. This is how one makes a country truly great again. Strengthening Faith 62. I read a news article a while ago, which I wanted to briefly discuss. It reported on a celebrity and how they earned and spent their wealth. The Holy Quran has labeled those who are wasteful as the siblings of the devil. Chapter 17 Al-Isra, verse 27.
Indeed, the wasteful are brothers of the devils, and ever has Satan been to his Lord ungrateful.
The comparison has been made to the devil for several reasons. First of all, the people who spend wealth excessively on unnecessary things often do so in haste without thinking things through, meaning an impulsive spender. In fact, according to a narration found in Jami at-Tirmidhi, number 2012, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has warned that being hasty is from the devil, while thinking things through is from Allah, the Exalted. If a Muslim truly pondered over what they desired to purchase, they would not spend on unnecessary and extravagant things, as this is not a sign of a true Muslim. In addition, when one spends on unnecessary and extravagant things, they in most cases are only fueling the companies who make a profit by distracting people from right guidance, such as the entertainment industry, which is the devil's main and ultimate goal. Spending wastefully always distracts one from preparing for the hereafter, as this person dedicates much time to earning wealth, spending it wastefully and enjoying what they acquired. Distracting a Muslim from preparing for the hereafter is another goal of the devil. Preparing for the hereafter involves using the blessings one has been granted, such as wealth, in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Finally, the verse quoted earlier specifically mentions the ingratitude of the devil. In reality, the one who spends wastefully on unnecessary things does so because they too are ungrateful over what they already possess. If they possessed true gratitude, it would prevent them from acting in this manner. Islam does not prohibit one from spending on necessary things. It in fact encourages Muslims to do so. And even spending on lawful unnecessary things is acceptable, if it is done occasionally and without extravagance, as this is something which is disliked by Allah, the Exalted, and leads to wasting wealth. Chapter 6 Al-An'am, verse 141.
And be not excessive. Indeed, he does not like those who commit excess.
Strengthening Faith 63. I read a news article a while ago, which I wanted to discuss. It reported on the importance of learning from the past. It is important for a Muslim to understand a key truth, namely, nothing in creation occurs without a wise reason, even if people do not observe this wisdom immediately. A Muslim should treat everything which occurs, whether they are facing times of ease or difficulty, as a message in a bottle. They should not get too caught up in assessing and examining the bottle, as it is merely a messenger which delivers the important message. This occurs when Muslims either exult over the good things which occur, thereby becoming heedless to the message within the good thing, or they become grieved during difficulties, thereby becoming too distracted to understand the message within the difficulty. They should instead concentrate on following the advice of the Holy Quran, and approach each situation in a balanced way. Chapter 57 Al-Hadid, verse 23.
In order that you not despair over what has eluded you, and not exult in pride over what he has given you.
This verse does not prohibit being happy or sad in different situations, as this is a part of human nature. But it advises a balanced approach whereby one avoids extreme emotions, namely, exultant, which is excessive happiness, or grief, which is excessive sadness. This balanced approach will allow one to focus their mind on the more important message inside the bottle, meaning, inside the situation, whether it is a situation of ease or difficulty. Through assessing, understanding and acting on the hidden message, a Muslim can improve their worldly and religious life for the better. Sometimes the message will be a wake-up call to turn back to Allah, the Exalted, before their time runs out. Sometimes it will be a way of raising their rank. Other times a way of erasing their sins, and sometimes a reminder not to attach themselves to the temporal material world and the things in it. Without this assessment, one will merely journey through events without improving their worldly or religious life. Strengthening Faith 64. I read a news article a while ago, which I wanted to briefly discuss. It reported on taking a step back, in order to assess what is truly beneficial and harmful in one's life. When a Muslim observes the teachings of Islam, they will find that certain worldly blessings have been described in a positive way, but in other places it has been described in a negative way. This is because in reality, most things are not innately good or bad. What makes them good or bad is whether they take one towards the obedience and pleasure of Allah, the Exalted, or not. For example, the Holy Quran has described a spouse as a way of finding tranquility, mercy, and affection. Chapter 30 Ar-Rum, verse 21.
And of his signs is that he created for you from yourselves mates that you may find tranquility in them, and he placed between you affection and mercy.
But the same Holy Quran has also warned that a spouse and children can be enemies to a Muslim as well. Chapter 64 At-Tahaban, verse 14.
O you who have believed, indeed among your spouses and your children are enemies to you, so beware of them.
This indicates that they become a source of tranquility when they encourage one towards the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, which involves fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions and facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. But one's family can become an enemy to them if they divert them away from the obedience of Allah, the Exalted. So Muslims should regularly assess and judge the worldly blessings they possess, in order to determine whether they encourage them towards the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, or divert them from it. And if necessary, take steps in order to benefit themselves in both worlds. Whoever does this self-assessment regularly will find that they continue to use the blessings they have been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, which in turn will ensure they find peace and success in both worlds. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
But if they fail to do this self-assessment, they will inevitably misuse the blessings they have been granted, which will lead to a difficult life in this world, and a strict accountability, and a potential severe punishment on a great day. Chapter 20 Taha, verse 124.
And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed, i.e. difficult life, and we will gather, i.e. raise him on the day of resurrection blind.
And chapter 9 At-Tawbah, verse 24.
Say, if your fathers, your sons, your brothers, your wives, your relatives, wealth which you have obtained, commerce wherein you fear decline, and dwellings with which you are pleased are more beloved to you than Allah and His Messenger and striving in His cause, then wait until Allah executes His command.
Strengthening Faith 65. I read a news article a while ago, which I wanted to briefly discuss. It reported on the coronavirus, and the precautions the public should take in order to keep themselves safe from it. It is amazing how these steps which non-Islamic nations are trying to implement now were advised by the Holy Quran and the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, over 1,400 years ago. For example, people are being advised to wash their hands regularly throughout the day, whereas Islam advises a Muslim to wash their hands, arms, faces and feet 5 times a day, which is required to offer the obligatory prayer. In fact, a narration found in Imam Malik's Muwatta, Book 2, narration number 37, advises that a true believer maintains the state of ablution throughout the day. Meaning, They not only wash these parts of the body for the 5 obligatory prayers, but do so every time they use the toilet in order to remain in ablution throughout the day. In addition, Muslims have been advised to wash their hands before and after meals. This has been indicated in a narration found in Sunan an-Nasai, number 258. They have been advised to wash their hands before going to bed and after waking up from sleep. This has been advised in narrations found in Sunan ibn Majah, numbers 3297 and 394. Put simply, people have been advised to maintain good hygiene, and Islam has declared cleanliness to be half of faith in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 223. In addition, people have been advised to avoid going out in public unnecessarily, which has been advised by Islam so long ago, as it often leads to vain and sinful things. In fact, this is an element of salvation according to a narration found in Jami' at-Tirmidhi, number 2406. People have been warned not to unnecessarily socialize with others. Islam has encompassed this teaching by declaring one should either speak good or remain silent, in a narration found in Sunan ibn Majah, number 3971, which indicates limiting socializing with others. Finally, it has been stressed that people should support each other, such as food supplies, through this difficulty, but Islam has been teaching the importance of this for over a millennium. For example, a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawud, number 4893, advises that Allah, the Exalted, will aid the one who supports others. To conclude, Muslims should implement these teachings in order to show the true face of Islam to the world. Strengthening Faith 66. I read a news article a while ago, which I wanted to briefly discuss. It reported on the behavior and attitude of some criminals who chose a life of crime, as they desire to obtain wealth in an easy and simple way. It is important for Muslims to avoid this type of quick-fix mentality in both worldly and religious matters. Unfortunately, some Muslims have adopted this attitude. Whenever they encounter problems, instead of following the teachings of the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, by remaining patient and firm on the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions and facing destiny with patience, they instead search for a quick-fix solution, desiring a short spiritual exercise which can solve all their problems. This was not the attitude of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, or his companions, may Allah be pleased with them, even though they faced more severe difficulties. Allah, the Exalted, could have granted the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, victory and spread Islam in a single moment. Yet it took over 2 decades of striving in the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, to achieve this. A Muslim should simply understand that if they cannot lawfully obtain worldly things without effort, how can they obtain religious blessings without effort? The greatest spiritual exercise one can perform is remaining obedient to Allah, the Exalted, according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. There is no quick fix to problems, as the universe was created in such a way that one must put in effort in order to obtain things. If a Muslim desires to overcome difficulties and obtain blessings, they must remain steadfast on the obedience of Allah, the Exalted. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
Strengthening Faith 67. I read a news article a while ago, which I wanted to briefly discuss. It reported on discovering new things and experiences. Some Muslims have adopted a mentality whereby they are always trying to discover different things and teachings in respect to Islam. They purposely seek lectures and knowledge which is supposedly new and different from what they have already experienced. Even though this is not an evil characteristic, it is an attitude which can lead to misguidance. This can occur when one fails to act on the knowledge they already have heard and studied, yet strive to experience new Islamic information and knowledge. Simply put, if a Muslim has failed to understand and act on what they already know, how can learning new things benefit them? Acting on what one has already listened to and studied is the very reason why the Holy Quran and the narrations of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, often repeat key pieces of information. For example, Allah, the Exalted, only needed to command Muslims to establish their prayers once, yet He has done it many times throughout the Holy Quran. The same way a student cannot progress to the next level or academic year without acting on the knowledge they have already studied, a Muslim will not be able to progress towards the closeness of Allah, the Exalted, unless they act on the knowledge they already possess, even if they search and listen to new things. Some foolishly seek knowledge connected to higher levels of piety, without even acting on the basic principles of faith such as refraining from lying and backbiting. In addition, searching for new knowledge also encourages one to obtain knowledge which is not beneficial, as it does not increase their sincere obedience to Allah, the Exalted, which involves using the blessings one has been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Nor is this different knowledge connected to something which Allah, the Exalted, will ask them about on Judgment Day. This is why it is vital for Muslims to concentrate on gaining and acting on the knowledge found within the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, as it will increase their obedience to Allah, the Exalted, and this knowledge is connected to things which will be questioned about on Judgment Day, such as fulfilling the rights of people. The Holy Quran has made it clear that revising important information one already possesses is beneficial and the correct attitude, as this person is more likely to act on their knowledge than the one who only seeks new knowledge. In fact, this attitude benefits the believers. Therefore, if one does not obtain benefit from being reminded about things they already know, then they must reassess their faith. Chapter 51 Ad-Dariyat, verse 55.
And remind, for indeed the reminder benefits the believers.
Strengthening faith 68. I read a news article a while ago, which I wanted to briefly discuss. It reported on the problems which are occurring in the Middle East, and how countless people are suffering. It is important for a Muslim to be observant in their daily life, and avoid being too self-absorbed in their own worldly matters, so that they become heedless over the things which are occurring around them, and the things which have already occurred. This is an important quality to possess, as it is an excellent way to strengthen one's faith, which in turn helps one to remain obedient to Allah, the Exalted, at all times. This involves using the blessings one has been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. For example, when a Muslim observes a sick person, they should not only aid them by whatever means they possess, even if it is only a supplication on their behalf, but they should also reflect on their own health, and understand that they too will eventually lose their good health, either by an illness, aging, or even death. This should inspire them to be grateful for their good health, and show this through their actions by taking advantage of their good health, in both worldly and religious matters which are pleasing to Allah, the Exalted. When they observe the death of a rich person, they should not only feel sad for the deceased and their family, but realize that one day, which is unknown to them, they will die also. They should understand that just like the rich person was abandoned by their wealth, fame and family at their grave, so will they too be left to face their grave with only their deeds for company. This will encourage them to prepare for their grave and the hereafter. This attitude can and should be applied to all things one observes. A Muslim should learn a lesson from everything around them, which has been advised in the Holy Quran. Chapter 3 Ali Imran, verse 191.
And give thought to the creation of the heavens and the earth, saying, Our Lord, you did not create this aimlessly. Exalted are you above such a thing. Then protect us from the punishment of the fire.
Those who behave in this manner will strengthen their faith on a daily basis, whereas those who are too self-absorbed in their worldly life will remain heedless, which will prevent them from improving their behavior towards Allah, the Exalted, and the creation. Strengthening faith 69. I read a news article a while ago, which I wanted to briefly discuss. It reported on the concept of a midlife crisis. A person who experiences this often questions their purpose and seems to feel a huge void in their life, even though they may possess many things and achieved much worldly success. This often occurs as these people are not fulfilling the purpose of their creation, which is to gain knowledge about Allah, the Exalted, so that they can obey and worship Him correctly. This involves using the blessings one has been granted in ways pleasing to Him, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Chapter 51 Ad-Dariyat, verse 56.
I did not create jinn and humans except to worship me.
This is similar to a person who owns the latest mobile phone which has many features, yet due to a fault it fails to fulfill its primary goal, which is to make phone calls. No matter how good these other features are, the owner will always feel a void in respect to it, as the phone does not fulfill its primary goal of existence. Similarly, a person will feel a void in their life even if they possess many worldly things. This feeling affects Muslims and non-Muslims. It is obvious why non-Muslims feel like this, as they could not be further from fulfilling the purpose of their creation. So no matter what they achieve, they eventually feel this void in their life. It occurs to those Muslims who may even fulfill their obligatory duties, but as they fail to strive to gain and act on the vital knowledge needed to fulfill their purpose correctly, they experience this void. In most cases, they do not even understand the Arabic language, so performing worship simply does not fill this void. One will not fill this void until they strive to fulfill the purpose of creation, which is to gain knowledge on Allah, the Exalted, so that they can use every blessing they have been granted in ways pleasing to Him throughout every moment of their life. Strengthening Faith 70. I read a news article a while ago, which I wanted to briefly discuss. It reported on a large-scale project and how things were not going according to the initial plan, such as the estimated cost of the project increasing dramatically. Muslims should understand that making long-term worldly plans is not the wisest decision, as these things very rarely work out as planned. One only needs to reflect on their own life and their own long-term plans to recognize this truth. It is always best to plan on a short-term basis, as this is more achievable and does not result in such emotional or financial difficulties when things do not work out as planned. On the other hand, failure in long-term plans will lead to more serious emotional and financial difficulties. In addition, long-term plans always causes one's mind to focus on this material world, which distracts them from preparing for the hereafter, which involves using the blessings one has been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. This attitude will only lead to difficulties in both worlds. But when one makes short-term worldly plans, it does not distract them from the bigger picture, meaning preparing for the hereafter. In addition, long-term plans distract a person from enjoying the lawful aspects of this world, such as spending time with one's children. They delay enjoying these things as they are too busy working towards their long-term goal. This can disrupt their relationships and cause long-term issues, such as divorce. A Muslim must understand that they can plan as much as they want, but ultimately only what Allah, the Exalted, has planned and decided will occur. So it is best to minimize this as much as possible, and instead focus on fulfilling one's necessities and responsibilities in this world, and preparing for their journey to the hereafter. This is what the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, indicated in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 6416. He advised Muslims to live in this material world as a stranger or traveler. Allah, the Exalted, will bless this behavior so that the Muslim finds peace and happiness in both worlds. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 97.
Whoever does righteousness, whether male or female, while he is a believer, we will surely cause him to live a good life, and we will surely give them their reward in the hereafter according to the best of what they used to do.
Strengthening Faith 71. I read a news article a while ago, which I wanted to briefly discuss. It reported on the life of a celebrity who had passed away. It mentioned their legacy and the different things they achieved in their life. Even though they achieved much worldly success, there were still things in their life which tainted their successful legacy, such as crimes and allegations. If one turns the pages of history, they will observe many people who achieved great worldly success and in some cases benefited mankind, yet they will also observe at least one thing which taints their achievements. But if one observes the life of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, they will observe nothing except success and countless things which benefit mankind. Even though there are people who falsely criticize the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, it is quite evident from his highly accurate and detailed biography, which has been verified by reliable Muslim and non-Muslim historians, that this criticism is based on nothing but falsehood. This is why Muslims must put aside all role models and instead study and adopt the flawless character of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, as this is the only way to achieve real untainted success and peace of mind in both one's worldly and religious life. Chapter 3 Ali Imran, verse 31.
Say, Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, if you should love Allah, then follow me, so Allah will love you and forgive you your sins.
There is no goal greater than this in this world. In fact, this is what people irrespective of their faith strive to achieve. And Allah, the Exalted, has placed all of it in the footsteps of His Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Chapter 33 Al-Ahzab, verse 21.
There has certainly been for you, in the Messenger of Allah, an excellent pattern, for anyone whose hope is in Allah and the Last Day, and who remembers Allah often.
It is simple. If a person desires worldly and religious success, they should follow in the footsteps of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. But if they choose a path other than his, whatever tainted success they achieve will eventually become a burden for them, and it will lead to regrets and even punishment on a great day. Chapter 20 Taha, verse 124.
And whoever turns away from my remembrance, indeed he will have a depressed, i.e. difficult life, and we will gather, i.e. raise him on the day of resurrection blind.
Strengthening Faith 72. I read a news article a while ago, which I wanted to briefly discuss. It reported on the increase of crimes within London over the past decade. Unfortunately, there are some who claim that faith is not required in this world, and others, who are Muslims, claim it is enough to profess Islam without supporting it with sincere obedience to Allah, the Exalted, which involves using the blessings one has been granted in ways pleasing to Allah, the Exalted, as outlined in the Holy Quran and the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. But this increase in crime proves the importance of faith and strengthening it through knowledge and action. This is because crimes and sins only occur as a person feels they will either face no consequences for their actions, such as prison, or they will somehow escape them, for example, by fleeing the country. But the person who believes that no matter what action they perform, whether open or secret, big or small, and no matter what tricks they attempt, a day will undoubtedly come where they will be held accountable for all their deeds, will always think twice before committing a crime or a sin. If this belief is strengthened through gaining and acting on Islamic knowledge, it will deter one from committing crimes and sins. If people acted in this way, peace and justice would spread across society. The crime rate would decrease and the times would closely match the times of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and his rightly guided caliphs, may Allah be pleased with them. This fact alone indicates the importance of faith and strengthening it, through gaining and acting on knowledge. Chapter 16 An-Nahl, verse 90.
Indeed, Allah orders justice and good conduct and giving, help to relatives and forbids immorality and bad conduct and oppression. He admonishes you, that perhaps you will be reminded.
And chapter 24 An-Nur, verse 55.
Allah has promised those who have believed among you, and done righteous deeds that He will surely grant them succession to authority upon the earth just as He granted it to those before them, and that He will surely establish for them therein their religion which He has preferred for them, and that He will surely substitute for them after their fear security, for they worship me, not associating anything with me. But whoever disbelieves after that, then those are the defiantly disobedient.
Strengthening Faith 73. I read a news article a while ago, which I wanted to briefly discuss. It reported on the faith of some people, and their claims that their belief and obedience to their God is in their heart, and they therefore do not need to demonstrate it practically. Unfortunately, this foolish mentality has infected many Muslims who believe they possess a pure, faithful heart, even though they fail to fulfill the obligatory duties of Islam, something which is easily doable, as Allah, the Exalted, does not charge a person with a responsibility they cannot fulfill. Chapter 2 Al-Baqarah, verse 286.
Allah does not charge a soul, except with that within its capacity.
The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has clearly declared in a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 3984, that when one's spiritual heart is pure, the body becomes pure, which means their actions become correct. But if one's spiritual heart is corrupt, the body becomes corrupt, which means their actions will be corrupt and incorrect. Therefore, the one who does not obey Allah, the Exalted, by fulfilling their duties practically, can never have a pure spiritual heart. In addition, disbelief can be a literal rejecting of Islam or through actions, which involves disobeying Allah, the Exalted, even though one believes in Him. This can be clearly understood by an example. If an unaware person is warned by another of an approaching lion, and the unaware person takes practical steps to obtain safety, they will be considered someone who believed in the warning given to them, as they adapted their behavior based on the warning. Whereas, if the unaware person does not practically change their behavior after being warned, people will suspect that they do not believe in the warning given to them, even if the unaware person verbally claims belief in the warning given to them. Finally, demonstrating one's faith in Allah, the Exalted, practically is their proof and evidence which is required on Judgment Day in order to be granted paradise. A proof Allah, the Exalted, has commanded one to obtain. Not having this practical evidence is as silly as a student who hands back a blank exam paper to their teacher, claiming their knowledge is in their mind, so they therefore do not need to write it down by answering the exam questions. The same way this student would undoubtedly fail, so will a person who reaches Judgment Day without the obedience of Allah, the Exalted, in the form of fulfilling His commands, refraining from His prohibitions, and by facing destiny with patience according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, even if they possess faith in their heart. Over 400 free ebooks, audiobooks, infographics, podcasts and blogs available on our website, www.shakepod.com.